They put in coconut water?
Yeah.
The following is brought to you by the People's National Party.
Make the trumpets play. Jamaican people want better. Economy coming like stormy weather. Ancestors are turning on them grave. We can tell me how we can do it together. When we look at the future of precipice, we see Jamaica needs the vision of the PNP. People said the bag of promises, them can't carry go shop. And the crime rate getting higher, wonder when it all goes down, comrades. Jamaican people want better. Economy coming like stormy weather. Ancestors are turning on them grave. We can tell me how.
The proceeding was brought to you by the People's National Party.
The scale of dealing with anti-corruption issues. So there is a learning curve that we are going through. What is important is that the government supports the development of the institution so it can accelerate very quickly on that learning curve and provide the resources so that they can move very quickly on the learning curve, and that the government does not intervene or interfere. And that message goes to the opposition as well. Leave the anti-corruption and policing agencies to do their jobs. I know why you come to me with that foolishness, you know. You elect a prime minister, and is a prime minister run the country. It is time we learn to hold our leaders accountable for their actions and stop making excuses for them. Stop making excuses. Otherwise, go elect the people who really run in the country. And I don't want the right kind of stupid argument. Hold the people you elect accountable and stop making excuses for them.
Hello, welcome. Happy Tuesday and season's greetings to everyone. Merry Christmas to those who are already celebrating Christmas, because you know the different time zones across the world. And thank you so much for tuning in as usual. Tonight's topic is Say No to Kleptocracy with Baron and also myself, Anne-Marie. And we will have some guests in studio who Baron will introduce, as well as we will have Mr. Rattigan as usual. And Daisy Magazine will join us shortly. Remember, when you come in, thumbs up the live, share us out if you can. And if you're new to the channel, please show us some support by subscribing. So I'm just going to go ahead and quickly welcome those in the chat. Dorothy McCoy, Larry Beckford, John Gotti, Maxine Fraser, Patel Cruikshank, Rennie Swaby, Beverly, Cynthia B, Merlin Mollison, Louis Longshaw, G. Angel, and Paul Griffiths. Welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. Without any delay, let me hand over to Byron because our guest is crunched for time. Maxine Cummings, welcome. Douglas, welcome.
Thank you, Wifey. Can you bring up our guest in studio? Right. First, we want to say a big welcome to, of course, our panelists and our guest. So we have our guest, Steve Coco, and Steve Coco, retired FBI supervisor, special agent, and security consultant. Sir, we want to say a big thanks to you. Season greetings to you and the family as well.
Thank you. And thank you for inviting me. Thank you. Pleasure to be here, and thank you for inviting me. And greetings to you all. And happy holidays. Safe holidays.
Thank you. Right. So as it is, we know that Rattigan is our usual panelist. Right. We're gonna have Daisy Magazine to come along later. We're gonna have Jamaica, right, that tune in later.
Oh yes.
And let me say this. I know that Brother Steve strapped for time, so only half an hour, right? We have him, right, to use him. So we are just going to get right into the program. So I want to make sure that I highlight some topics that we are going to delve into tonight. So the objective of anti-corruption mechanisms, right? Issues, concern nepotism and cronyism, right? So we'll be getting to all of that. And of course, Ratigan will be taking 50% of the program, dealing with Andrew Holness and his 28 accounts. And we're glad that we have professional people here with us tonight. Of course, distinguished gentlemen. We also will be having, let me say it, Andy Macheli will be here with us tonight too, consultant and social political commentator. All right. So without any further ado, right, let me just get into the heat of things. Now, Brother Steve, right, before I have you speak, I am going to go through a particular clip to build a foundation, right, of awareness in terms of where we are going with the conversation tonight, right? So the first thing that I'm going to bring up so that our listeners, and let me say this, season greetings to all persons who tune in, persons in the chat, persons who are supporting us, right? And all Jamaicans locally and in the diaspora, and people all over the world that, right, are supporting Mystic Sensation. We want to say a big thank to you, season greetings to all of you. Having said that, let us get into the program as it relates to, time limitation, and we are going to use Brother Steve in the process. So, honey, without any delay, can you bring up the first document? Let us get to the role of the office of the director, right? Because we want to go, right? We are guiding the conversation tonight as it relates to the Constitution, the power that embedded on the DPP. And we are going to break that down for our individuals. Now, let us go through so all can see this. Right, the role of the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. The Office of the Director of Public Prosecution is created by Section 94 of the Jamaica Constitution, Order in Council in 1962, hereinafter referred to as the Constitution. The office is described as a public office. Further, Section 94, subsection 2, sets out the qualification of the Director of the Public Prosecution, hereinafter referred to as the DPP, by stipulating that the holder of the office should be the equivalent. So if Jamaica never know this, right, the equivalent of Paula Llewellyn's responsibility, equivalent to a judge of the Supreme Court of Judicature, right? So we know that tonight, right? We are edifying our public. In Section 94, subsection 3, prescribe now the powers of the DPP, which are as follows, right? Now, we want to go through this to the fact that we know that the DPP won that case to resume office, and so then we're going to highlight the powers of the DPP. Now, as it relates to Section 94, subsection 3A, let us read subsection 3A. To institute and undertake criminal proceedings against any person before any court of martial in respect of any offense against the law of Jamaica. Section 94, subsection 3B, to take over and continue any such criminal proceedings that may have been instituted by any other person or authority. Section 94, subsection 3C, to discontinue at any stage before judgment is delivered any such criminal proceedings instituted or undertaken by himself or any other person or authority. Now, as a result of that, right, that is what we are going to into, and Coco speaks to us. But before Steve Coco speak to us, let me just go into my concern relating to that, right? Where we want Steve Coco to Yes, so take that away, only take that document. All right. So, Brother Steve, we have seen that the DPP had wide range of powers in terms of Section 94.3. Now, concern. I'm getting a double mic.
I think Steve might have a device.
Okay, so my concern, right? Now, according to Section 94, subsection 3 of the Constitution, the DPP has the power to discontinue at any stage before judgment is delivered, right? Any criminal proceedings instituted or undertaken by the office or any other authority. I am asking Steve to guide us through this process. Should there be an oversight entity without political influence to determine whether or not that the DPP decision to dispose of any case is justified based on prescribed laws? So that is my question for you, Steve. And one of the reasons why we are asking this question, we know as human beings, right, we are not perfect. The Bible says that we are all of sin and come short of the glory. So invested such a power on the DPP so that the DPP at will can end the case. I am asking if there should be any oversight body as it relates to, try to understand the basis and the grounds as to why the DPP would have ended this case. Some authority to keep checks and balance. Go ahead, Steve.
Well, again, as I told you, thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. But yes, absolutely essential for there to be independent oversight. Because if there's not independent oversight, then the committee that is, which the intentions of which is to have some degree of, control or at least oversight, it becomes totally political. The DCPP, I forgot the exact acronym that you're using, but there needs to be oversight. If the DCPP is put together by politicians or people are appointed by politicians, there needs to be oversight, such as your parliamentary oversight or an independent committee that is not linked to it in any way. Otherwise, if you have links between the oversight committee and the committee itself, then you're going to have all kinds of, influence that may be undue, untoward, uncalled for. So you need to have independent oversight. And then if the committee ends its work suddenly, if the DCPP ends its work suddenly, well, at least there's a committee to find out, hey, why did this work end already? Are you done with your investigation? Was there some sort of issue that came up? What did you find during your oversight? Is there double dipping or is there corruption somehow? Please explain. But without that oversight committee, you're not going to have that transparency. Transparency is essential.
Perfect. Steve, I'm glad you mentioned that. Now, I want you to tell us, as it relates to your criminal justice system, how does that work for you as it relates to that oversight body? Please explain to us.
Well, of course, I'm in the United States, so it's a different judicial system than in Jamaica. But of course, in the United States, we have the federal judiciary and oversight. We have the federal judiciary, we have the federal executive branch, and then we have state governments as well. But whether you're federal or whether you're state, there is oversight. And the oversight of a committee or a justice ministry or a justice department is done by the members of the parliament. And those members of the parliament, they've been elected by the people. And quite often when you have an oversight committee that is overseeing some sort of corruption probe or judicial probe or judicial appointments or whatever it may be, it's going to be made up of people from various parties. Because if you have it just made up of the people from the party in power, then the transparency is going to be limited, and that's an invitation toward corruption. So here in the United States, for example, you have congressional oversight committees that look at the actions of the federal government, the presidency, the executive. And then you have it on a state level as well in each of the 50 states.
So basically, in terms of what you're saying, let me just use a scenario. So you are saying basically Jamaica criminal justice system is only flying on one wing.
It's what? Sorry?
It's only flying on one wing, not having full oversight committee, not having an oversight body.
Okay.
All right. So let me just bring up Jamaica in this place. Now, let me say, Steve, I'm going to show you two cases. I'm going to present two cases as it relates to why it is important that the DPP office should answer to an oversight body, might be from the parliament or an independent body who is totally not being influenced by the politics, right? Totally independent. So yes, I'm glad you mentioned that. So obviously something is wrong, right, as it relates to that legislation there that give the DPP such a wide power. That power need to be checked, and I'm going to present the cases to you to show you the reason why we are arguing this and why the DPP really need to have an oversight. But let me just go to the two cases. Honey, can you just go to Jamaica Star, Vibes Cartel Appeal? Let us present this case to the public and to see why we are having this discussion as it relates to the ultimate power being given to the DPP without checks and balance, not having an oversight body. Now, Vibes Cartel Appeal, defense accused DPP of misconduct. This is what we are talking about. Director of Public Prosecution, DPP, Paula Llewellyn, has been accused of prosecutorial misconduct during the Vibes Cartel murder trial. Now let us look why. Vibes Cartel, whose given name is Adidja Palmer, Sean Storm, whose given name is Sean Campbell, and their co-convicts, Kyra Jones and Andre St. John, are seeking to have their 2014 conviction squashed. They were convicted of killing Clyde Williams at a house in Avondale, St. Andrew in August 2011. Now, Bert Summers, Sean Storm, lead attorney, argued that the misconduct centered around Llewellyn's advice to the presiding judge to continue the trial, knowing that one of the jurors was allegedly trying to bribe his colleagues to let go demand them or to let go the men. Now, he made the assertion in the Court of Appeal this morning as Sean Storm and his mentor, top entertainer Vibes Cartel, begin their quest to have their murder convictions and lengthy prison sentence overturned. Let me take that document away. Let me speak to Steve. Brother Steve, the conclusion of that matter, it was taken to the Privy Council, and the Privy Council overturned the conviction based on to the fact that there was a tampered jury, right? And the prosecution advised the court to go ahead. Now, if a situation like that happened in the United States, where it is known that the DPP was cognizant of a tampered jury and still force the court to go ahead, what would be the approach as it relates to your criminal justice system?
Well, I mean, it sounds to me as though evidence that the jury might have been corrupted somehow or faced undue influence by whoever, a third party. It sounds to me that that's pretty clear. In the case, if that had happened in the United States, then absolutely the judge would have dismissed the jury, and he probably would have declared what we call a mistrial, which means the defendant, the person who was accused, would have the right to another trial, because you can't, what we say is you can't remove the taint. the taint. So if you have, even if one juror was somehow influenced or corrupted or faced undue pressure or had unreported contacts with the other side, then the whole jury's kind of contaminated at that point. So it's a question of, do we dismiss, does the judge dismiss just one juror, or does he dismiss all 12 jurors? If it's pre verdict, they may just dismiss one juror and replace him or her with someone else. If it's post verdict, if the person's already been found guilty, let's just say, and then we find out about this undue influence at that time after our defendant, after the accused was found guilty, then the right thing for the judge to do is declare order a new trial for the defendant, because that guilty verdict might have been reached in a corrupt manner. So that's what would happen here.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for that, sharing that information. I'm going to go to a next clip, and let me just explain it as it relates to why I am going to this clip. Now, we have what we call the Integrity Commission Act of 2017, as it relates to their responsibility is to investigate corrupted politicians, per se, as it relates to procurement procedures and so forth. And so then let us just go to their website and just share their mission statement with us, and then we delve into that. Honey, without any delay, could you go to about Integrity Commission? Let us bring up that right in the space. All right, here we go.
Because I can't get rid of
Okay.
side.
All right. So okay. So let me just read this as it relates to the Integrity Commission mission. I know we have some things that blocking it out, and we can't able to move it. But let me just read it as it relates to the mission of the commission is to achieve a corrupt-free society by preventing, detecting, investigating, and prosecuting acts of corruption through high-performance culture and efficient systems. Our vision of the Integrity Commission is realizing and sustaining a corrupt-free Jamaica, right? Now, let us get into that. Professionalism, the Integrity Commission is result-oriented. We take ownership of obligations, we keep knowledge and skills current and relevant, and we exercise good judgment. We resolve focused initiatives when the situation demands it, right? The Integrity Commission is trustworthy, honest, and open with internal customers. Our staff members are sincerely receptive to the public. We are impartial and non-partisan. Let me repeat that. We are impartial and non-partisan. So let me just go to the question. Take that away on. Now, Brother Steve, let me ask you this. Now, the IC core mission is to achieve a corrupt-free society by preventing, detecting, investigating, and prosecute acts of corruption. However, right, there are naysayers as it relates to the incumbent government who believe that the Corruption Act, Section 14, subsection 5, that prosecute illicit enrichment, they believe that it should be removed as a result of the Integrity Commission investigators are investigating them, right? Now, let me say this. Do you believe that the IC investigators need a legislative framework to prosecute independently?
Well, they may need it. They may need it. I don't know enough about the system, but it sounds like they may need it, or at least they may need the independence and the wherewithal to conduct their investigation and then have direct liaison with the public prosecutor's office and present evidence to the public prosecutor's office so that that office can make a determination. Yeah, it looks like laws were violated here or laws were not violated here. And each side should be able to write their opinion. In other words, this commission should reduce its findings to writing and say, hey, this is what we found during our oversight. And then the public prosecutor's office should reduce its findings to writing as well and say, after meeting with the commission, we concur that prosecution may be warranted because of X, Y, and Z, or we disagree that prosecution is warranted. We don't think it's warranted because of these extenuating factors or because there's just not evidence. So it needs to be in writing. It can't be verbal because we have a saying that if it's not in writing, it doesn't exist. So we need to know what the sentiment was and how they reached the decision. Yeah, we're going to prosecute or we're not.
Okay, very good. Thank you for that information as well. Right now, let me just lay out some situations for you here. Our Prime Minister, right, at current, has been investigated by the Integrity Commission, right, for, to the fact that going 3 years consecutively, 2021, 2022, and 2023, Steve, that the Prime Minister's statutory declaration is unable to certify, thus, right, triggered an investigation as it relates to what may hinge on illicit enrichment. Right, the Integrity Commission had spoken to the Prime Minister, right, as it relates to how he acquired his wealth. And obviously, the Prime Minister, right, have no answer for the Integrity Commission any at all. Now, my question as it relates to that, right? In your criminal justice system, if you have the president, so to speak, going 3 years, right, where his statutory declaration cannot be certified, as it relates to your criminal justice system, how would your criminal justice system approach this process?
All right, we're talking about potential, how does the Prime Minister, where does he derive his funds from, his money, potentially illicit or unreported wealth or sources of income? Is that your question? I wasn't quite sure.
Yes, that is my question.
Okay, so what would happen would be this. Of course, we have a president rather than a prime minister, but we also have heads of agencies which are just under the president, such as the head of the Justice Department, the State Department, the military. They're just one level below the president and vice president. So rather than an integrity commission, what we have is, again, I mentioned congressional oversight or parliamentary oversight. If there's a question as to where someone at that level, his or her funds come from. In other words, we're saying, wait a minute, you are making X amount of money a year as a public servant, as the head of the Justice Department, but your lifestyle requires millions of dollars that we're not paying you from the government. How are you able to afford this lifestyle, these magnificent homes, bank accounts, boats, cars, etc.? There needs to be a commission that what we have in the United States, we establish congressional committee. It's a congressional inquiry. And Congress has the authority to establish a committee, and that committee has subpoena powers. In other words, they can demand from banks and other institutions that documents be produced. It's not a judicial process because it's not conducted in the courts, but it's conducted in our parliament, in our Congress. And there's an oversight committee. And then that committee investigates it. And then after their time period of investigation has expired, they come out with a report. And they say, we found this, we found that, we found this, we're still not satisfied, or we think there might have been criminal activity, so we're going to refer this to the public prosecutor. Or they may say, hey, we didn't find anything here. There's no smoking gun. It all looks legitimate. Oh, his wife, she's independently wealthy. This is her family's money, and she shares her wealth with her husband. Something like that. but these congressional committees operate independently. And the executive branch, but it has to be someone who is required to respond to Congress, such as someone in the executive branch, because Congress has oversight of the executive branch. They can't just investigate me. I'm not in the executive branch. But if I were vice president or head of a department or number 2 in a department, they could investigate me because they have oversight of the executive branch. That's how it would work.
Okay. All right. Let me just allow Ratty in the space to ask some questions. All right, Brother Ratty.
I got to interrupt. I apologize for 1 second. I've got to go. So I appreciate the time online with you guys. It's been a pleasure. And I wish you all happy holidays, happy new year, and we'll see you again, hopefully in the future.
All right.
All right.
We'll see you soon. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Really
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
All
Bye-bye.
right.
Yeah. The thing about it is that what he's talking about is at a high level, because at a lower level, the agencies would get involved. So, for example, like the FBI, they have financial disclosures forms or a process, and you have to do it twice a year. They have one that is not that intrusive. It's about, my recollection serves me correctly, it's about, I don't know, like half a dozen pages, 8 pages. And then there's another one that they start giving you notice about maybe 3-4 months out because it's voluminous. It's very intrusive. I mean, they want to know where you get every cent from. They want to know everybody that you owe. They want to know your lives. They want to know everything about you. And they don't accept late filings. That's why they start telling you from months out that, hey, don't forget, 3 months from now, you're going to have to turn this thing in. And the closer you get to the time, the deadline, they extend it out. It's like every month, every week, then almost like every day. So you can't turn that thing in late. You can't turn it in late. I've never heard of anyone turning it late. I'm sure if somebody's sick, surgery or whatever in the hospital, yeah, fine. But if you don't have a good excuse, there's going to be hell to pay. And so they dig into every single aspect of your lifestyle, I should say. I was going to say a financial life, but it goes to lifestyle. And if they find something, you're going to have a serious problem. Steve and I know of a case where there's a gentleman who was married to an independently wealthy woman, and they bought a place over $1 million cash. And they called him in and they said, wait a minute, hold on. You don't make this much money. We've gone through your bank account. Where did this money come from? And so he had to point to his wife. And then they went and they investigated the wife. And then they found out that it was true that she came from money, and she had money. And it was her money that actually, most of it was her money. So, but they don't fool around, because the philosophy is, we pay you enough so that you don't have to accept bribes. Mm-hmm. And if you and they do everything that they can to protect their brand, the brand. FBI stands for Federal Bureau of Investigation. But below that it says fidelity, meaning that you're not you're committed to one, right? You're committed to your agency, bravery, and integrity. Okay. And those 3 principles they hold near and dear. And if you try to screw up their brand, they're gonna make a public example out of you. If you commit a crime that normally that private citizen would commit, they go out of their way to make sure you get the maximum penalty, because they're sending a message that this is not tolerated, we will not tolerate it, and that's it. So with Jamaica, I just find that the Integrity Commission and people, those of you who have watched me and those of you who know me, you know that I just have a problem with the Integrity Commission Act, the law itself. It has loopholes like you wouldn't believe. And I just have a problem with the institution, the way it was designed and the way it's functioning. Because they knew, and this is going back to the previous administration, because that's where the Integrity Commission Act had its genesis. They knew that we're going to have this super anti-corruption agency.
Yes.
And they combined 3 agencies into one. You cannot tell me that they didn't make adequate preparations to staff and to support this organization. They should have. And when you go and you look at the annual reports, you will find that there are shortages in some of the most sensitive areas. They don't have enough investigators and they don't have enough qualified investigators. And that's why you're seeing some of the problems. I mean, no agency is perfect. None whatsoever. You're going to have, you're going to have your stragglers. You're going to have the people who are deficient. But it shouldn't be that you don't have enough people, first of all, to do the work. And then when you look at, when I say qualifications, if you look at what they're asking from potential candidates, and then when you look at what they're paying, you'll see that there's no correlation. There's no way you're going to go, incur all these debts, but to achieve to achieve an education, a master's, a bachelor's, and then you come and work for 4 million, 6 million, and you have a wife, and you have 3 kids, and you have a dog, you have a cat, you have a helper because some of your kids, they're babies. It can't work. So remember now when the Prime Minister said, when they increased the salaries 200-300%, he said what? It was to, and not only the Prime Minister, but the former Minister of Finance said it. It is to attract qualified people from outside to come join the government. You can't attract people with 6 million and them have hundreds of thousands in a student loans. Them have wife, kids, car, house. No, it cannot. So I have my problems with the way that thing was set up and the way it's functioning and the law under which it functions. And I just hope that the opposition is taking note of this, because what the opposition needs to do when they control the reins of power is that they shouldn't hesitate. They should start immediately. They should have their notes written out already, have their plans.
Yes.
So that once they take over, they say, all right, fine, boom. We shouldn't have any honeymoon period. They should be working on this right now as we speak. They have a youth organization. Put them to work. Put them to work. And I mean, Maria can talk more about this because that's her baby. That subject is, she owns that subject. But she can tell you that they need to put these people to work in the various ministries. When I said, well, I can't put them to work in the ministries, but put them as overseers. Have them do the research on these things. So see what the problems are. See what's good, what's bad. What's good we keep. What's good we keep. Right. We don't throw out everything. What's good is we keep. What's bad we fix. But it can't be that you come in and you wait 4 or 5 years and say we're gonna fix it. No, not. We've seen this administration is doing it right now. I laugh, Byron and the rest of the panelists. I laugh because you know why I laugh? Every time they come out with a so-called new initiative, guess what? You can go back 6 years ago, 7 years ago, and you can find that new initiative mentioned back there.
Yes.
So it's not new, but people are paying attention. We're not paying attention. You know what? I tell you something. This Saturday, and I hate to take up so much time, but I have to get this piece out. This Saturday, I changed my whole schedule because I had a schedule that I was going to follow for this Saturday.
Yeah.
And something happened today, and I changed it because this Saturday, we're going to, I did it already. We talk about the real Brogard in Jamaica and about the Governor General. We're gonna do it again, and it will be amended because you know what I found out tonight just before coming on this program. I did an ATI. You know what I found out? The Governor General is exempt from ATIs. You can't ask him nothing but what go. But no, sorry. Him not obligated for answer you.
Well,
on the ATIs. And remember now, you're paying must say what, $34 million, and you give him almost $750 million to run him office. $750 million. Yeah. So these are the things that just get me frustrated, you know. But it get me frustrated, but I'm not dissuaded. You know.
All right.
This continues.
Very good, Ratty. Love the contribution. Before we go any further, remember that we have Andy Masheli, right, will be coming later, consultant and social political commentator, will to interact with us. And without any further delay, because Jamaica did not meet and greet, right, his people. So I'm going to have Jamaica meet and greet, because since Jamaica has been here, right, on the platform, right, and then we go to Sister Maria. All right, Jamaica, go ahead.
Greetings to everybody.
Right.
It's good to be back with family members, man. Season greetings to all. The mystical duo, man, the hard working and just that cohesiveness of that partnership. Thank you again for your inclusion. Wilfred Rattigan, I respect all the time your work and your contribution. Miss Daisy, blessings to you, man. It's always good to hear from you. The people in the comment section, not devices, but our family members there in the diaspora, and also here locally in Jamaica. We appreciate your season's greetings to you all. I greet you from your warm home of Jamaica. No matter what cold you're feeling, we're feeling the warmth here. A little bit cooler, but still warm. And to say, man, it's a great pleasure to always come by and speak to the family member and talk about fewer business, because we have to ensure that fewer business set right. I hear Mr. Ratty said earlier, talking about the former finance minister. You said he raised the wages to attract the best mind and the brightest mind, and also said to retain the brightest mind too. But I don't know when it comes to him, what about him with the brightest mind? Obviously, he's not. Cannot care how much money it was. It didn't attract him. But love the discussion. And I want to ask some questions about this DPP. Because, again, a full business, and we have to ensure that we speak about full business. And we are entitled to ask questions, especially when we pay them so much. And I look at it and I said, Miss DPP, were you the one that came on a public platform, nationwide to be exact, and said that there are many times that you have gone ahead with tainted jewelry? That is major discrepancy. That is major negligence. And that is very unprofessional, if you ask me. And were you the one, are you the one that we pay to represent the public of Jamaica, yet still you went to England and you have somebody of a different race? Nothing about racism, but somebody of a different ethnicity, different, you're not from Jamaica, but you're representing the state of Jamaica, and we pay you to do that. Also, we want to ask the government, what are you celebrating? Are you celebrating that our women are working longer, are taking longer to get their pension, moving from 60 to 65? What are you really celebrating? So questions like those are questions in my mind. And I just want to say, that's for my opening greeting, to say I am always thinking about what's going on in Jamaica. Blessings.
Thank you. As you say, a free business, and we have to discuss it. And since a free business, let us call in Sister Maria now to discuss free business. Sister Maria, please discuss free business. Meet and greet.
Greetings, Mystic. Anne-Marie, Merry Christmas. You're looking beautiful in the Christmas Eve here. The Lord bless you and keep you and make his face shine on you and give you peace, honey. Hallelujah.
Amen.
Jamaica, good to see you. Brother Rattigan, greetings, my friend. Greetings, my friend.
Hallelujah.
I'm not. I was about to speak in tongues, and I said, no, I'm not going to speak in tongues. I know I'm not in the spirit, okay? And to everybody in the chat, a blessed Tuesday evening. And it's good to be here because amidst all the serious things that we have to talk about, we have to have some fun. Because if we don't laugh, then we're just going to keep crying. So it's good to be here and a happy Merry Christmas to everybody. And I wish all health and happiness, in the days ahead.
All right. Well said. I wanted to have that talk with Mr. Masheri, but he's not here as yet. So we are going to go back to some clips when he comes. Now, to all my listeners, you have seen that the DPP, right, as it relates to her case, right, won our appeal, and we are obviously, right, heading back to the office, right, while we are anticipating the People's National Party response in terms of whether we are going to, right, go to the Privy Council, so then we can prevent the DPP to get back into the office, either. But I want to say to Jamaica, as it relates to Paula Llewellyn get back into the office, right? There's a particular case. It's okay. All right. So we're glad that we are going to have, right, Andy Masheli, right? All right. Bring him in to the office, right?
And you didn't have to wear a tie, man.
All right. Season greetings to you, brother Andy Mashel. Season greetings to you and the family, right? And we happy that you make it Mystic sensation. All right. Without any delay, I want for you to just, give us a brief introduction of who Andy Masheli is.
My name is Andy Mashele, born and bred in a place called Gauteng in South Africa. Born some many moons ago and many rains ago. I am the only child to my mom and my dad. My dad passed away in 1978. I was brought up by my grandmother in 1984. She passed on. She couldn't read or write, but she encouraged me to read a lot, as you see the books in my background. I remember now, I have told Will this story a million times. I remember now when I reflect that my grandmother used to hold the newspaper upside down, and she was reading for me, and it touches me deeply and moves me greatly to realize that some African people have what it takes to work on the mind of a child and craft out something or someone better than them. And I learned a few years ago, listening to T.D. Jakes, that his parents threw him 150 meters away, and he threw his children 300 meters away. I am fortunate that I was thrown a kilometer away from my grandmother. You can imagine when both my father and my grandmother passed away. My pillars of strength disappeared, and I have had to face many dangers. I have had to go through the jungles of life and kill many lions. Like I always say, we human beings, particularly human beings like you and I, always dance with the lion, whether we like it or not. We do the cha-cha-cha, we do the rumba, we do the Brazilian street dance with the lion on a daily basis. And fast forward, past my school and past college and past university, On the sidelines of life, I have always been a warrior. Will knows this story too, that my grandfather was a general in the Mushweshwe. I am a Mosotho. I am of the Bakwena clan. A Kwena is a crocodile. So I am he who looks after the crocodiles. I can see all of you that you look like me. Maybe some of you are Batawung, those who look after the lions. There are others that we call the Bafokeng, the Jew people. Jew like in the Jew from the atmosphere, not Jew like Jews from Israel. No. It is very important that we cover that background because it makes us who we are. So simply put, from the Bakwena tribe, those who look after crocodiles. My nickname from the Bakwena is Emukwena. So if you were to walk down the streets and you hear people calling me Mukwena, they would be using the clan nickname to identify me. And it is against that background that we understand who we are and we know who we are. And I know that you know who you are. You will some of you look like Batlong, those who look like elephants, who look after the elephants. Long story short, with regard to that, my grandfather was born in 1880, and my grandmother was born somewhere around 1890, somewhere around the years when the first Anglo-Boer war, white people were fighting in on our territory. And some of us were just watching. Some of us participated on both ends of the war, fighting a war that did not belong to them. So when my time came to fight, I fought against the Boers, the Dutch people, those who are still formulating a small minority of the people of this country. So long story short, in 2024, I find myself talking to you, being a retired Interpol ambassador, having had campaigned in 195 countries for the safety and security of the people of the world, and to try and prevent and combat transnational organized crime and many other things that comes with the red lists, with the yellow list, with the black lists and the blue lists of Interpol. By training and profession, I am a strategist. I am one of those who get called when there are no solutions worldwide. So do I see myself as a special forces operator? Yes, like I told you, from my background in the 1870s. Yeah, long story short, that's who I am. I am a highly visible media brand, if I can put it that way, both electronic and print media. I am on TV almost every week, focusing my expertise on security, safety and security. In the last decade, if not 1.5 decade, my experience, my flight hours in the space of safety and security exceed over 300,000 hours. So long story short, one could be regarded as an expert from that background that says your X number of hours lead you to being defined by those who think that they know better than yourselves, to regard themselves this way or that way. So long story short, I am now no more a mystery to you. Would I regard myself as a mystic? Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Andy, what I want
I
you
think
to, Andy, I think it's important for you to let the audience know about your struggles with apartheid, because then they get a fuller sense of who the man is. You're just not a strategist, you're not an academic, but
Yeah.
you're also a warrior in the truest sense of the word. So you can tell us about what happened to your dad, what happened to you.
Way back in 1948, my grandfather was going through a white town called Randfontein, which is about 10 kilometers away from here. And him being a black person got a beating, a hiding of his life that crippled him, that saw him perish as a result of his injuries in 1952. Fast forward to 1959, my grandmother was asked to leave to a rural part of the country called Muedorpi, a so-called beautiful town. And the reason for my grandmother to be asked to leave that municipal house was that women by then were not allowed to live by themselves in the house. So you always had collaborators, those who were chiefs, for the want of a better word, who were counselors, for the want of a better word, collaborating to make sure that women were bearing the brunt of the war. That's how my grandmother got kicked out of the house. My grandmother struggled from 1959. Some of us were born in the 60s. My grandmother passed on in 1984, being a wanderer. My dad was also incarcerated in Robben Island. In 1984, I was detained in the state of emergency. It was when we rendered this country ungovernable, because some of us believe in the equality of Africans being on the same par with those of Europeans, or should I rather say European descendants, those who came into the world and declared people who were living in Jamaica as rebels, those who didn't want to toe the line. We would not have toed the line, because we are equal to any other race. We are equal to any other, should I say, tribe, for the want of a better word. We are told that we are black people. I'm not a black person. I'm an African. I used to have black hair. It's now turned gray. That's why you see me with a chiscop. Chiscop means bald head and well shaven. I haven't really internalized the whiteness of on the face and on the head. So
all right.
that's why. Yeah. Long story short, we get told that we are black people, and we know that we are Africans, and some of us never internalize that concept of black. I don't look like a black person, and I'm not seeing any of you looking black. You look brown or light skinned like any other person. I know there are people who look black. One of them is a friend of mine who was operating for Interpol in Kenya. He was black, like in a black shoe polish. That part of the world, people who come from there, some of them look black. Yeah, those are black people. Unfortunately, I haven't reached that stage in my life. I have tried my level best to look black. I've always remained light skinned. So long story short, I got detained and I spent a sizable amount of time. And one night, whilst I was detained, there's this guy who was called Prime Evil. You know him well, Eugene de Kock. Eugene de Kock and some 3 white people took us in a 16-seater combi. We were taken out to a field. It was around midnight, and I was requested. I was still very skinny. They threw out a hubcap through the passenger window, and I was requested to go and pick up that hubcap.
let people know that a combi is like an SUV, an extent like a VW SUV, and a felt is like a field.
Yeah, you're correct. And I was asked to go and pick up that hubcap in the dark date of the dark night. And I refused. I said to them, if you kill me, just shoot me here so that all the other 15 people in that SUV can tell my my parents, can tell my people what actually happened. And that guy turned and like I did and stuck a gun in my mouth and pulled the trigger twice. I'm grateful to Allah. I'm grateful to God. I'm grateful to the power that transcends both time and space for getting that gun to jam in my mouth. And he actually said, your God is great. From that moment on, I saw the beauty of life. I saw the beauty of God. I know that my grandmother was praying for me, was watching over me in heaven, because I used to go to church every Sunday until my grandmother passed on. That's how I survived, and I decided to intensify my involvement in the war against injustice, against apartheid, against the strong belief that white people are better than Africans. I've always known that they're not better. Some of them don't have the qualifications that I have. Some of them don't have the kindness that I have. Some of them don't do impossible things like I do. Some of them can do them. So we are equal. Some of them are wonderful enough to have looked after Africans who were trafficked to America to go build America. And some of them saved those Africans who ran away as victims of human trafficking in a nice way, in the correct sense of the word. Some of them looked after slaves very well. Some of them did what we do for Europeans, this other part of the world. So injustice has always been an injustice, and I'm not ashamed. I'm not a coward.
All
I'm
right.
not afraid of death.
Well, that's why you're here on Mystic Sensation.
Pardon?
I said that's why you are here on Mystic Sensation.
Thank you, sir. Anytime the war can start, anytime the matchstick can give birth to a flame, anytime you can imagine the sound of a gun, anytime it can go off. So we might be civilized, but we are not afraid. We might be civilized, but we are we know who we are, and we respect other people. We respect other races. We respect other people of the world. We respect the Chinese that we don't call whites. We respect the Indians that we don't call black. We respect all other people. All other people are described by where they come from and not by color. We happen to be those who are very sick in their heads, who accept that we are black. Other people are called Europeans, Russians, Chinese, Indians. Yeah, many of them. You are fortunate. Some of you are called Jamaicans. Some of you are called this or that. But it's only as people like me, and you all look like me. We are the only ones who think that we are black, and we will get told that we are black. No, I'm not black. I belong to a movement that when I joined activism or politics, a movement led by the late Steve Biko, who was killed, who was brutally beaten and driven 1,700 kilometers from Cape Town to Pretoria in the back of an SUV, being transported to hospital. I think they were killing him. Instead of putting that man in a plane, that man used to push a philosophy called Black consciousness, a philosophy that says a rent must circulate 1,000 times in our communities before we go and buy the stupid red bed and the stupid. I'm sorry, I know we don't have public liability. It's me who's saying, it's not the show. These are my views and my opinions. Should anyone want to take any legal action. I don't wear red bat, and I will never wear red bat and the stupid Nikes and many of these things, because where they are produced, slave labor children in other parts of the world have been found in those factories. So long story short, we are being told that we must accept the injustice of the world and wara wara wara. 85% of the people of the world want to be led like sheep to the slaughterhouse. 10% of the people of the world are the controllers, the billionaires of the world, the Democrats and the Republicans and yeah, and many of those and your professors and your so-called white people like Anthony Fauci and his COVID niceties that that really surprised some of us. Some of us were told that we are COVID-19 positive, but nothing came out of it, meaning the stuff that some of us eat, the wormwood that they said people must not drink, I drank it and it helped me. I tested positive, but I never got to be flawed. Those people of the world who were said will be found on the streets of Africa in Alexander lying. We didn't. Some of the people were eating nice things, McDonald's and like my son call it Madanos. Those were eating Madanos are the ones who died in their big number. I'm not stupid to can celebrate the death of a human being, but long story short, those who thought that they were better than us, even today, Europeans, descendants of Europeans in my community, know that they can mess with anyone else except some of us and the people who look after us. We are not very nice. We don't go out hunting people for their color, and we don't turn people into strange fruit. Strange fruit in this context where Africans were hanged from the trees and people were celebrating and people were killed because of the Reckless Eyeball Act, which was only abolished in 1956. We are supposed to be robots. You are not supposed to look at the white woman as if they were the deputies of Jesus Christ or they were the secretaries to God. If you are seen looking at white person, they would say, white woman, your eyeball is reckless. I'm happy to look at African women. And by the way, I have a very beautiful young wife who's with me now. She's come, she's back from Rustenburg, and my wife just fixed my tie. So I look at my wife.
All right. Well said. Well said. We really appreciate a little bit of history there and your love for Black culture, because I can see that coming out of you, right? We know as it relates to the neo-colonialist, right? How they can be, right? So we are going to get into some stuff here, right? So Andy, let me say this. We are thankful for the wealth of knowledge that you have and what you bring to this platform tonight. And so what we're going to do, we are going to discuss as it relates to our criminal justice system as opposed to your criminal justice system. And of course, some of the application that you will use to make our justice system better. And I hope that, I am speaking particularly to the opposition, not the incumbent, because the incumbent, right, have no interest, right, as it relates to good governance, checks and balance, accountability, transparency, and integrity. So this discussion is for all Jamaicans, right? And particularly, we are going to give a mandate, right, tonight to the opposition to utilize that mandate. So where I want to take you, Andy, I am going to show you the powers of the DPP and what is fundamentally wrong with that DPP. Now, we are doing also a constitution reform, right? And so then we have the opportunity to zoom in on the DPP authority. But let me just take you through that, right, and hear your opinion as it relates to the DPP. Let us get back to that document, the role of the Office of the Director of the Prosecution. So we are going to roll back the curtain again for you, Andy, and because let me.
Okay.
Yes. So here's the document, Andy. The role of the Office of the Director of the Public Prosecution. The Office of the Director of Public Prosecution is created by Section 94 of the Jamaica Constitution, Order in Council 1962, hereinafter referred to as the Constitution. The office is described as a public office. Further, Section 94, subsection 2, sets out the qualification of the Director of the Public Prosecution, hereinafter referred to as the DPP, but stipulating that the order of the office should be equivalent to a judge of the Supreme Court of Judicature. Now, Section 94, subsection 3, prescribes the powers of the DPP, which are as follows. So Section 94, subsection 3A, right, said to institute and undertake criminal proceedings against any persons before any court order than a court-martial in respect of any offense against the law of Jamaica. Section 94, 3B, to take over the continue, right, any such criminal proceedings that may have been instituted by any other person or authority, right? 94, subsection 3C, to discontinue at any stage before judgment is delivered at any such criminal proceedings instituted or undertaken by himself or any other person, right, or authority. So let us take that away and let us ask Andy this question. So Andy, my question to you, sir, right? That sort of power that embedded on the DPP by our constitution, right, to me is giving her the ultimate power. Do you believe that the DPP should have some form of checks and balance as it relates to an oversight committee in terms of not having the free will, right, at her will to dismiss any case that she wants to dismiss? What is your say on that?
First and foremost, the Constitution becomes the supreme law. The Constitution of Jamaica must look after the welfare of the people of Jamaica. First things first. Number two, it must have instruments that will effect it, like Section 94. In South Africa, it's Section 9 of the South African Constitution of 1995, amended or improved upon 1996, something around like that. Number three, it is important that the rule of law should find expression through your criminal justice cluster, your policing, your prosecution, your incarceration, and your rehabilitation. Number four, it is critical that those who are tasked with the responsibility to initiate prosecution after arresting, after combating crime, meaning after investigating crimes and finding that there is prima facie evidence that stands to can be put before the court of law for a judge or a magistrate to apply his or her mind in on the matter of crime, in on the matter of wrongdoing, should be done by people whose mind are sound and sober, people who have no bias, people who are not corrupted, people who are not compromised, people who are not wolves in sheep's skin, who would give you the impression that they are for justice only to realize that they operate what you call selective justice or selective or convenient morality. So the DPP should be able to decide on a number of matters that would constitute crime in the eyes of the people of Jamaica. And both you and I know that crime has a few elements. One of them would be opportunity, one of them would be intention, one of them would be the wherewithal, one of them would be action. So if and when there are elements of crime, the Director of Public Prosecutions, as inspired and motivated by Section 94 of the Constitution of Jamaica and those subsection 3 that you mentioned as you were briefing me, would have to kick in only and only if that individual is fit enough to can apply a sound mind that is informed and driven by justice. Anything opposite to what I say does not qualify that that office or the incumbent in that office should be regarded as a director of public prosecutions.
Okay. I like that. So basically, right, in terms of what I'm hearing from you, right, that there should be some checks and balance system as it relates to maybe having an oversight committee, right? So to when the DPP, right, made a decision, and if there is any issues relating to that, that committee should, checked it and to make sure that that decision was sound as it relates to law. But on Rattigan's program last week, right, you spoke about legislative framework that geared towards the IC being an independent prosecutor. Can you highlight for us the benefit of such program, right, in your country in terms of the prosecution rate of corrupted individuals?
We had what we call the Zondo Commission. The Zondo Commission was a commission established in terms of the law that dealt with those who were corrupt, as those who were accused of capturing the state for personal gain and for financial gain. There was a family called the Guptas. Whether they captured the state for personal gain or not remains a subject of serious debate amongst the people of South Africa. There are those who are saying the playing field was being leveled, was being equalized, because a part of the argument was that there have been companies that have green contracts. A green contract is a contract that does not expire. When I die, my children take over, and they were benefiting from the Electricity Supply Commission of South Africa. So I have listened to debates that say the Guptas came and they changed the conditions, operating conditions in that space, and therefore were accused of capturing the state for financial gain by corrupting a few individuals and officials working for these companies. That has been the debate. Subject to that, a commission was established. That commission looked at corruption that was allegedly committed by the individuals and the officials that I referred to, and some families that I referred to, like I referred to the Gupta family. Fast forward, a few days ago, we said, I think 2 weeks back, we said at a national dialogue against corruption, and some proposals were put forward for the establishment of the Office of Public Integrity, OPI, and I shared on Will's program last week. You get a better understanding of the Office of Public when you look throughout the world. You look at South Australia, and you realize what the Office of Public Integrity means and its role, which has to do with corruption, fighting corruption and maladministration, and including money laundering and transnational organized crime being aided by officials, being aided by individuals who work on your border posts or your ports of entry, facilitating the easy access of Chinese into South Africa and all other nationalities into our country for the benefit of money into their pockets or luxurious SUVs and many of those things. So this OPI that has been proposed would speak to these issues of corruption and maladministration and advise the people, advise the president of the country as a result, so that laws can be put forward quicker for the prosecution of those who are accused of committing corruption. The cases, the state capture cases, have gone on only now. It has been a very tedious, long-winded process that has not yielded serious results on that space. And we are hoping that some people would be prosecuted as a result of that. So long story short, that process of the what I would equate to the Integrity Commission in Jamaica has not yielded results. Is it as a result of zero absence of laws? No. Is it as a result of slowness in or lack of appetite in those who are driving the processes? Yes. We saw the Zondo Commission, which had the same powers as the powers that you mentioned in Section 94 of your Constitution, that says it is equal to the Supreme Court or something of that nature. The Zondo Commission had the same powers that would refer to an individual to jail, like they did with the former President Jacob Zuma, by referring his matter to the Constitutional Court, which incarcerated him without trial. You and I saw the country burning in 2021 and trucks being banned as a result of people that said you can't send someone to jail without trial. So long story short, the success rate of your Zondo Commission, your Office of Public Integrity, have not yielded results yet. It's a learning process. And I am happy to say some of the lessons we know, and we have listened to people talk to us about best practice in the world. And we also know that there are worst practices in the world. And I have said, when we were discussing earlier on, I don't want to learn of the worst practices in Jamaica that we are seeing with regard to the Integrity Commission and the fight that's going on between the Prime Minister and the Integrity Commission. Should I say the Toothless Integrity Commission, or should I say the Commission with a bite? We are neither here nor there, but we are looking at situations where those who have committed crime in Jamaica, like in South Africa, should be subjected to instruments of the law that would ensure that there's justice. Once again, the establishment of the Office of Public Integrity is one of the things that have been proposed by the National Anti-Corruption Advisory Council that advises the president, or that advises Parliament. Obviously, this OPI would be reporting to Parliament. When it sees the light of day, it would be equal to the Section 9 institution. A Section 9 institution in Jamaica would be a Section 94 institution like your DPP, like your public protector, like your special investigations unit, and many of them.
Okay. All right. I'm going to guide you through a process. We are going to go get into an investigation. And let me just give you a background. Right. We have a non-banking entity by the name of SSN, where it has established that the Prime Minister has an account in SSL. The Integrity Commission investigators discovered that the Prime Minister...
Are those the people that stole Usain Bolt's money?
Yes. Yes, we are discussing them right now. So what had happened, the Integrity Commission had discovered that 143,000 US dollars, right, was, leave from SSL and deposited into one of the Prime Minister's 28 accounts. The Prime Minister has 28 accounts. So, Andy, I want you to be aware of that, right? Where $143,000 went into this account. And prior to the $143,000 went into the account, the Prime Minister take out that account with $0. $0. Now, it gets worse than this. We have over 200 persons, investors, right? Money being stolen, right? The total amount is 3 billion plus. A lot of money. Now, the finance minister, right, tried to defend the Prime Minister in terms of all sort of anti-panky. We call it anti-panky by not doing the right thing. One of the things that he said that FBI was going to investigate. Now, we found out that that was a lie. There is no FBI investigating. Now, he spent a lot of money, right, get an outside forensic expert, which is Crawl, to come and investigate. Now, Crawl came, investigated the situation, corroborating with FID, the Financial Investigation Department in Jamaica. And they did a comprehensive report, right, and gave it to the DPP. However, the DPP sits on that report. Also, that report recommended for persons to be charged. As we speak, Andy, no one has been charged. I am going to give you insight of the report. I'm going to give you insight of lies that the Minister of Finance told Jamaican people, that persons are getting back their money, which is a lie. So I'm going to get into that report for Jamaica to see it, right? And then we break it down without any delay. Let us bring up this consolidated, updated report. So I like to give you a backdrop before we get into the report. Now, Andy, bear in mind that the fight for the DPP to return is for this particular case to be quashed. All that centers around the fight for the DPP extension is about this particular case, the SSL case. This SSL case has a lot of threads. It is going to reveal as it relates to the Prime Minister, if he has a profile account. It is going to reveal other persons who may have been benefited. As we know, Andy, only the Prime Minister of Jamaica had benefited from SSL on 3 different occasions. Only the Prime Minister had benefited. All the other investors, as we know it, right, had lost their money. So let us get into the report. Now, here it is. The fraud at Stocks and Security Limited is of public interest. The Financial Investigation Division has reported that the fraudulent schemes are now estimated to have affected over 200 accounts, and the extent of the fraud exceeds $3 billion in value. SSL was a boutique wealth management firm with assets that represented approximately 0.6% of consolidated financial sector assets. At the time the fraud came to public attention, SSL had custody of approximately $30 billion of client assets as a part of SSL off-balance sheet portfolio. There have been periodic updates from the entities managing the winding down of SSL, the transfer of its client balances to accounts designated by clients, and the investigation into the fraud. However, some members of the public have requested a consolidated update, which I now provide in this release from updates provided to me by the FSC, the FID, and the temporary manager. So we are going to show the level of dishonesty that Nigel Clark reported in this report. Now, here it is, 2.2, right? Let us look at 2.2, transfer of local securities. Transfer began in September as at April 16, 24. Now, hear what the Minister of Finance said. Bulletin point number 1. 1,230 clients' accounts totaling approximately 15.37 billion of local equity and fixed income securities were transferred to the account specified by these clients. Now, Andy, this is a lie. We have investigated. This is a lie. Bulletin point number 2. Jamaican dollar cash of approximately 665 million for 338 clients has been paid over to these clients. And I am telling you, again, this is a lie. Therefore, a total of 16.35 billion in approximately 70%, right, of Jamaican dollar denominated assets in SSL off-balance sheet portfolio have now been transferred to clients. Again, this is a lie that Nigel Clark told. Jamaican dollar denominated assets, including Jamaican equity and fixed income security and Jamaican dollar cash. For the remaining Jamaican dollar securities totaling 7.6 billion in value, the temporary manager is pursuing an agreement with a trust company for the en bloc transfer of these remaining Jamaican dollar assets, which will be held by the trust company in custody for clients. More details will be provided once this agreement is finalized. SSL continues to process requests to transfer available cash balances, right? Clients are required to submit their requests, including payment details, to the service team. All of this, Andy, is a lie that Nigel Clark came out and told people. Now, Usain Bolt, who had lost most of the money, right, had not seen a dollar. Let me express that. Usain Bolt, as we speak, has not seen $1 from the millions of dollars that he had lost and the millions invested, right? Not $1 Usain Bolt had seen. Let us progress to the investigation, just to wrap up this and get to other. Let us look at the investigation, right, Andy? Let us look at the investigation. Here is Nigel Clark. As I mentioned in my open budget presentation in March 2023, and again in March 2024, with respect to the investigation into SSL, the policy position of the government is that we will make available whatever resources are required to ensure a thorough, fair, complete, and independent investigation. That is a lie. The Jamaican government, right, put all the predicament, right, for us to not have a fair investigation into this matter, right? They block it in every way and every regards and tell lie. We will also leave no stone unturned. Now Nigel Clark had gone and leave SSL in turmoil. Follow the evidence wherever it may lead and seek international assistance. Now let us look at this now, Andy. This is the policy that has been implemented. As previously updated, Flawed Associates UK Limited, a renowned international investigation firm, was engaged to undertake an independent forensic audit to understand the facts relating to the fraud perpetrated at Stocks and Security Limited over the period 2010 to 2023. The company was selected because it did not have any connection in Jamaica and because its vast experience given the complexity of the matter. The volume of transactions, the number of accounts held by clients, and the number of bank accounts held by the SSL network of companies. The Flawed team, I want you to pay attention to this, Andy. The Flawed team, working with the support of the government agencies, including the FID and FSC, utilize technology, data analytics, and forensic expertise. I want you to listen to this keenly, to produce a comprehensive and independent report of its findings in November 2023. The Flawed report has confirmed that the suspected fraudulent activity and mismanagement at SSL and its related parties were much broader than initially understood. With the benefit of this report, their own investigation, and through collaboration with other law enforcement agencies, the FID has publicly reported that a file, I wanted to pay attention to particularly this paragraph, that a file was submitted to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions for the consideration of criminal charges against individual linked to the SSL network of companies or the companies pursuant to the Proceed of Crime Act, Larceny Act, and financial sector legislation. Take that away. Now, Brother Andy and panel, let me show you what is happening in the space. Now, I am going to get to our next report and show you what the DPP is doing. And this is the primary reason why Andrew Holness is bringing back the DPP. The fight for the DPP extension is this particular case. Because this particular case is going to open all the can of worms. It is going to expose the persons who were recommended to be charged. It is going to expose everything, right? If you have fear and transparency into that investigation. Now, let me say this to you. I am going to give you, to show you. This is one of the reasons why I came out and I showed you what the Constitution embedded the power on the DPP, which the Prime Minister knows. That the DPP can start a case and finish a case at will. This is the case that the DPP is going to finish at will. And this is what I am saying as it relates to Jamaica moving forward, is to go back, revisit that Constitution, revisit Section 94, subsection 3A. Look at that being given to the DPP. The DPP need an oversight committee independent of the politics, so that when the DPP is going to dispose of cases, right, at will, the DPP need to explain based on the limits of the law, right, and based on procedures. So, Andy, look what happened next. I am going to show you. Now, let me explain something. Nigel Clark, the Minister of Finance, said this case is too wide. It's too complex. The Jamaican authority cannot handle it. So Nigel Clark used taxpayers' money, millions of dollars, to pay Claude, the forensic expert, to come in Jamaica, investigate along with FID and they came, investigated with FID, done the report, a comprehensive report, and recommended charges and send it to the DPP's office. Now, Andy, I am going to show you.
That's where the problem is.
Yes, but Andy, I'm going to show you what the DPP is doing with that particular report, and the Parliament return to the DPP office is particular.
Let me interrupt you.
Yes.
This whole process is flawed from the beginning. We had a Directorate of Special Operations, very effective. They were called the Scorpions. They were part of law enforcement in South Africa. It was successful because it was prosecutions-led. In an event of this nature, where, let me stick to SSL, you can get as much investigators or forensic experts as much as you want. If the investigations is not prosecutions or are not prosecution-led, we are just wasting time. The DPP and the government and all those who are blowing hot air about this or that being government ministers and officials. I'm saying this out of respect, and respect does not mean that I will withhold my opinions on their fish and chips thinking and fish and chips operations. I'm not going to hold that fire from the guns of justice and reality. No, I'm not going to do that. They were supposed to have welcomed the best forensic investigators from the world, twin them with prosecutors. When you have the prosecutors working hand in glove with those forensic investigations, already the charges would have emanated from there. You would not need the DPP to then go and decide because he or she woke up on the left, there's no case. Because he or she woke up on the right, then there's a strong case against one of us on this podcast, and therefore you're going to be prosecuted. Or it's a mini, more kind of an experience that you use as a tool to arrive at the guilty one and the one who's not guilty. From the onset, forensic investigators were supposed to have been led by prosecutors. That process would have led to, if the prosecutor has criminal intentions, it would have exposed himself, because forensic investigators would find this and they would put it before the prosecutor, and the prosecutor would say, this is fraud, here is money laundering, this is theft. And they would work hand in glove to build up a solid case so that from there, it goes straight to the courts of law for a prosecution to happen. The DPP would not, out of his or her wisdom from King Solomon's suitcase or toolbox, you would not pick up a hammer of wisdom and use it to knock confusion into our heads. No, the DPP would be presented by charges that have been brought up, established by the forensic investigators, working hand in glove or being led by prosecutors. That's how the Special Operations Unit or Directorate in South Africa operated. And let me tell you, I have seen this. Wilfred knows this. It was very, very effective. When they came to your house, dragging the files, your act liver files, you would know that you are in trouble because the investigation is complete.
Exactly. Now, Andy, I'm going to show you how the DPP is responding towards this case. Unbelievable, right? And I have other sequence of cases where she, rule in a way to benefit, right, the incumbent government. So let us move to this other document, right, to show Andy and the panel, right, how the DPP respond to this. It's amazing. And this is one of the reasons why we are saying that we need to revisit the constitution, that law that give this DPP such wide power. Now, this is it, Andy, right? After Kroll had completed, right, their investigation along with FID, right, and send the file to the DPP. This is what the DPP say now. Incomplete file delaying ruling on further charges in SSL case. DPP,
what does incomplete file mean? What does incomplete file mean?
Exactly, Andy. But we're going to read it and break it down, because this is foolishness. Published Friday, March 22nd, 2024. Here's the DPP office. The Office of the Director of Public Prosecution has clarified that it has not made a ruling on whether further charges should be laid in the Stocks and Security Limited, right, SSL fraud case, because it is still awaiting outstanding documents from the Financial Investigation Division. So right here is telling you in every sense of the word that Paula Llewellyn, you understand, want to throw away this case, because a comprehensive report, right? A comprehensive report. Remember that they went out and get the forensic expert. Paula Llewellyn is not the expert. She's not the expert. So if you have the expert who completed the report and gave her the report, what more does she need? But let us read on. This week, opposition leader Mark Golding, so this is the opposition, suggested the office was dragging its feet, and Mark Golding is right, in relation to the delivery of a ruling.
What documents are outstanding? If you say there's a document outstanding, you then need to explain to me and say it's document Alpha Romeo 001.
Exactly.
And Alpha Romeo 001 addresses fraud, addresses theft, addresses money laundering, addresses human trafficking, addresses rape, addresses murder, and those elements that are brought up for this discussion would then inform the number of millions or the number of people informed. When you say the documents are outstanding, which documents? So that we can then be in a position to can apply our mind. Like I said, if this investigation was prosecutions-led, it would have yielded those, it would have ensured that your FID brings those documents. I am going to assume and leave it there that what the DPP is saying, there is some further evidence that has not been brought to the fore. So if there is no further evidence brought to the fore, the DPP needs to say, we need evidence that deals with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. FID, please provide us with evidence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a space of 7 days. I am assuming that this case is a priority case in Jamaica. Like some of us who are into research and spending a lot of time on matters of this nature, so that we can advise at the end of the day. We should be able to hear from the office of the DPP the number of days or the number of weeks or the number of months or the number of years that the DPP is giving to the FID to make those documents available. I'm interested in, as time goes on, in finding out what is so difficult in instructing through the relevant channels, through the relevant sections of the Constitution, through Parliament, through the portfolio committee responsible for policing in that space, to say, Minister, please talk to your investigators. We would like to have that file and that or those documents in a space of a month. What are you saying? Like I said earlier on, when you say the file is incomplete and there are no documents, you should be able to say, I'm expecting those documents in 7 days or in a month's time. That's what we should be saying. Anything else contradicts and flouts and flies against the face of logic and the face of the processes. Why is it that you're not effecting the processes as prescribed in Section 94 of the Constitution that speaks to how your office must make decisions? Remember, we don't make decisions from our talk to me. You know, your talk to me is that little pocket on your trouser, just beneath your belt. That small little, we call it talkie in South Africa. You don't make decisions from that pocket. You make decisions based on the process. And if the process is flawed, it means one thing. People like us, when we put professionalism aside, will just say that particular individual is not fit for purpose, is not fit to can be the DPP. If you are not able to say, I'm looking for that document in 7 days, then you are not fit for purpose.
All right, let me just bring other persons in the space, right, to speak. Maria, right, you want to take a bite out of this before we go further?
Okay, well, the thing is, when you talk about the DPP, it's the Director of Public Prosecution, and the operative word there is public. Yes. And so far, she has not been doing the job of the public. Her job is really to serve the people of Jamaica and to work on their behalf, because in truth and in fact, she is being paid by the taxpayers of Jamaica. And so far, what you have seen is that she has a pension. She can put away people on using circumstantial evidence. But when she has real evidence in front of her to prosecute a case, as long as that person lives above halfway tree or is considered a member of the upper class, then those same laws doesn't apply. She doesn't apply the same pressure as she would if the persons were, you know, from poorer communities, rural, urban, those communities. And what has been happening recently with, you know, her being given an extension and all of that begs the question, who is she there to protect? Because so many cases that have come across her desk have gone nowhere. There are so many persons, you know, when you ask about her prosecutor, what she has accomplished as a prosecutor since that she has been in office. She has a dismal record. So you have to ask the question, why then is she there? There's SSL is one problem. You have other persons who have run afoul of the law, ministers, members of parliament, other persons within society, and they don't get the same treatment. When you think of the Representation of People's Act as well, and when you see people's constitutional rights are being violated, even by the DPP, who has said, you know, when I don't know if you're familiar with the cartel case, Dr. Andy, where he was acquitted at the Privy Council because his constitutional rights were violated. It is not a matter of whether or not he was guilty of the crime that he was accused of. What was the infraction was that he knew that there was jury tampering, right? And instead of dissolving that juror and impaneling another one, she allowed the case to go on and said on the radio that of a fact, she has done that before. So his constitutional rights were violated. So when you think of all the things that she has done that has not been in the interest of the people, though she's the director of public prosecution, you have to ask then, what purpose does she serve? if not for the people, why is she there? Because it's in the best interest of the people to have somebody there who will apply the law fairly in an unbiased way to represent in the interest of of the masses of everybody, but not in the interest of a few. And that is what we see coming here. As a matter of fact, you see when you look at all the cases that have come before her, you see hints of corruption everywhere. And the truth is, Jamaica has a corruption problem because it is eating at the very fabric of the society as a whole. The spirit of the people have been so damaged because of corruption. Everywhere you look is corruption. But the only people who pay for whatever corruption they commit are when they're on the fall of the law, are those who are, below a certain economic standard. If you fall within a certain economic standard, you can be held accountable. Anybody else is not held accountable, and we have to ask her, what's the purpose then for being there? And in listening to Dr. Andy speak, I have a question for him. If you had to deal with some of the reports coming out of Jamaica in terms of what's facing the Director of Public Prosecutions, the integrity report where you have a prime minister who has 28 bank accounts, what would be your first order of business in terms of trying to hold people accountable? Because clearly there's an accountability problem here. How would you approach it?
One, listening to your brief input puts some interesting ways in my analysis. I would sit here and say, what is the weakness in the process? The weakness is the DPP. Is there a way in which the DPP can be privately prosecuted for dereliction of duty, for not sticking to the Constitution? Because the conduct is criminal itself. If you cannot be fair in the way you carry yourself out, and fairness is prescribed in a process that finds its way out of the Constitution and subsections of the Constitution, finding expression in regulations that makes sure that this or that law is carried out. It means there's criminality there. And I listen to you seriously so, because I was searching in my mind, what would someone do 2,500 years ago? That gentleman would say to me, move only when there's an advantage in the space of your weaknesses and strengths. And in this case, the individual is a problem. Forget about the person who's 2 million bank accounts received money. Look at the one who's enabling that individual to escape prosecution. And that particular person who is allowing that individual to get a breath of fresh air illegally and unlawfully so would be the DPP. So I'm searching in my mind. Can't the people of Jamaica go and look for a certificate of prosecuting the DPP or charging the DPP once again with dereliction of duty, if I can put it, for the want of a better way, so that you target the grass, you startle the grass so that the snake must come out of that grass, and then you can then be able to crush the head of the snake. In this case, the head of the snake is the DPP. If the DPP can say to the people of Jamaica and the world, and those of us who are having interest in what transpires in that part of the world. If the DPP can say, I am looking for document X, and juxtapose what she wants, juxtapose that with what the law says. The law says, give me document X in 4 days, give me document X in 2 weeks. We would then be able to say, yeah, you are doing what they expected to do. But for now, the DPP is not able to say, give me the document in 4 days. What does the law, what are the regulations saying in that regard? Dereliction of duty here comes into play because you know you are supposed to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and you are not doing it, and that conduct is criminal by itself. And we would then need to say, you have conducted yourself criminally here, and here are the elements of crime, and therefore we would want to place you before a judge who would then be able to say you are not fit for purpose. Pack your bags and close the door on your way out. Anything else is going to get us to talk and talk and talk and talk with no result. And these shenanigans are designed to get us to be angry and calm down. They are designed to get us to be emotional about this or that. It is not designed to get to the facts that you spoke so well about, of accountability and doing what you're expected to do. Anyone who violates the Constitution commits a crime. You and I know that very well. So here's someone who's committing a crime, and the people of Jamaica needs to vote that prime minister and his cabinet and anyone else out of office, so that when they're out of office, you can prosecute them without anyone shielding them, including the DPP. When she gets out of office, someone must viciously go after her, so that anyone else who would come into that office would know that if I commit wrong against the Constitution and the people, they will come to me. In actual fact, make sure that she does not have pension. Make sure that what is due to her within the confines of the law is taken from her using the instruments of the law. There's no way in which you can allow someone to commit wrong because she's the DPP. Like I said, she's not the deputy Jesus Christ. She's not the deputy to God. She's not like some deputy God. No. The deputy to Jesus Christ. No. She must do what she's expected to do. I am not being arrogant or disrespectful or holding her in contempt. With me, you either do right or you do wrong. And when you do wrong, you're out of the space that I operate from. And if I'm providing strategy, I would say, if you were my clients now, I would say let's look at the weaknesses of the DPP. What are the weaknesses of the DPP? And obviously, focus on the weaknesses of the DPP. And I'm definitely sure that not only social media would also help in the regard of a weaknesses, like the weakness where you say the documents, you have not received documents from FID and you don't know which documents you are looking for. You are not fit for purpose. You need to say, I need document A, B, C, D, E. Then we will know that you are fit for purpose. And you will go on to say, I need document A, B, C, D, E by next week, Thursday, or on the 5th of January. Which is incidentally my birthday, the 5th of January. I would celebrate my birthday with yourselves and say, yeah, the DPP is working. I'll send you a piece of the cake that I've bought. I'll just ship it to Jamaica, even if it arrives 3 months later. But that would be a piece to say, enjoy my birthday. And I realize that you are performing excellently. So share my birthday and that kind of stuff. So long story short, someone is not doing a job, and I'm not afraid to say it, that you are not fit for purpose. And should any of you become DPPs, be fit for purpose. The world is sick and tired of conflict, particularly people who are struggling. I am sure that the people of Jamaica, like the people of Lesotho, the people of South Africa, Africans are struggling all over the world. And we must stop this thing. It doesn't matter whether it's in South Africa or in Jamaica. We have same experiences. We must stop this nonsense. The DPP, nonsense meaning something that does not have sense, something that does not make sense, not intended to be an insult. And unfortunately, what we are discussing here shows no sense at all, which is nonsense.
Well said, well said. We love that you call a spade, right? Hitting the nail on the head. We thank you for that delivery there. I'm going to have Jamaics in this space because we have Brother Rattigan to come up and deals with the 20 account, and you are going to see even more amazing things when Brother Rattigan touch that. You're going to see the Prime Minister during the period of 2020 to 2023, $470 million going through various accounts, 28 accounts, Andy. And, you know, as it relates to his 2021 statutory declaration, look at this, Andy. Look on the great disparity that in 2021, the Prime Minister's statutory declaration as it relates to total income, assets, and liability, is saying that the Prime Minister income, assets, and liability is $171 million. While in the same breath, during the period of 2020 to 2023, the Prime Minister have $470 million running through. So we are going to reveal all of that to you. So let me just make Jamaica come in this space, and then we leave the floor to Rattigan to explain that.
Thank you for the opportunity. First question, Mr. Mashele, did you speak? Did you speak to the man for me? That's the first thing, man. Did you speak to the man for me?
Yes, Ja.
Thank you ever so much. You spoke very, very importantly about I am not black. And a lot of people, I don't think they realize what you were saying, but just now when you said that. And that goes way than just the words that you have said. It reminds me of the words of Marcus Garvey. And he spoke about a people without a knowledge of their past origin and their culture is like a tree without root. And by you saying that you are not black, it's just like every other race, as you people might say, will say that they're Chinese, they're Europeans, Indians, and we don't say that we're Africans. That is very, very important because we are indeed Africans and not a color, right? We're a set of people. And I hear you speak and it's quite intelligent. I have a question for you, but just before I go to the question, I look at, I like that Mystic and also Mr. Rattigan able to bring the diversity so that we can compare, right? So when you speak about just Jamaica, people will think that, oh, you're just saying. But when you have other places to compare to, then what comes out on top is professionalism and also the process, the proper process, and that is very, very important. So when Mr. Rattigan, when Mystic and you come out, and also Miss Daisy Magazine come out and identify these discrepancies, it is the first part of problem solving by identifying the problem. Yeah, and then we go on with the solution, follow through, and then we follow up. But we're in an important stage to identify, and that takes courage. So when you come here and you identify these discrepancies, thank you ever so much. And when I hear, I want to ask the DPP, why is it that you are bad at your job and then you're asking the Jamaican people to reward you? Because in the case of Mark Barnett, right, statute of limitation comes in play. And you earlier, you spoke about, that's her, earlier she spoke about working with investigator diligently to prevent those things, yet still that is something that happened in your case. So therefore, you have failed the Jamaican people. You have failed the Jamaican people on many, many occasions. And then when we look at it, you have selective justice. And when you have corruption, yeah, corruption been going over and over, it shows that it's from a high level. And when you have an high level of corruption, then everybody else suffer from this. And this is been seen.
Jamaica, let me engage in a dialogue with you and say, I love you guys on the panel. You talk nice English. You say money has gone out of accounts. You fail the people of Jamaica. Nice English. Let's talk English from the alleys there, in St. Vincent and in Alexander, and where I am now in Beckerstadt. You have committed a crime against the people of Jamaica. If they gave you a job that is prescribed by the Constitution, you don't do it. It's a criminal offense. 1. 2, my brother changing money that goes into the accounts and trailing, that's money laundering. We need to use the power of words to get to the point. That's money that has been laundered. Explain to us why you have 28 accounts. And explain to us what is the purpose of money going from bank account number 1 to bank account 17. Why can't you have 1 or 2 accounts, bank accounts that you put your money in? What is the intention of the 22 accounts? Do you think that you are do you think that we are like the weather? We are cantankerous, we are confused? No, we will never be like the weather. So Jamites, I interrupted you to say, I like your nice English, but I prefer the street language. I'm from the streets, you know. Somebody commits crime, it's crime, Jamites, my brother. That's all. That particular person has committed a crime against the people of Jamaica, and the people of Jamaica find themselves in what you call the Constitution. A constitution is a form of energy. That form of energy, we are the ones who are vibrating the energy into the Constitution. You and I know that energy does not travel in straight lines. It travels in waves. And the people on this panel are part of that wave that that is traveling between us and the Constitution. The Constitution is the spirit of the people of Jamaica. If you don't like me for what I say and you are holding public office, go and fly. And if you are going to come for me, I will come for you too. So long story short, this is not violence or militant speak. This is real speak that shows the frustration of the people of Jamaica and the rest of the world. And by the way, I grew up listening to Bob Marley, to Peter Tosh, to the rest of the people. When it was dark in this country, I'm telling you, each and every house know Bob Marley. We know Peter Tosh. We know Living Banuela. We know the Wailers. We know quite a lot of people. And now I've suddenly become a fan of Capleton and his rough voice. So long story short, Jamaica, I wanted you to say, the people are committing a crime. They don't fail the people of Jamaica. I'm supposed to give you advice on this matter. And one of the things, language is very important to me, and the words that we use. If you fail the people of Jamaica because they have put you there legally and lawfully, you have committed a crime. There are elements of crime. The Constitution says do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you do X, Y, Z, which is not what the Constitution says. It's a criminal offense. I know I interrupted you, and my apologies. At school I used to be slow, so I talk for a long time because I take quite some time to, and I understand you slowly.
let me tell you, man, you have all right to interrupt, and your point is well taken, man. And it's true. We have to say it as it is. As the dog passed by, we can't call it a cat. It's a dog. So they're being committed criminal offenses, and it needs to stop. They must be held accountable, and in order for Jamaica to get better, we need to point it out and say, hey, egg the pound of face, who has been stealing from the Jamaica and have been committing criminal offenses. And I completely understand you. My question for you, what is needed for the framework for the IC, the Integrity Commission, to be better or more effective? Also, if you could just give me 3 points that we can use to improve the Integrity Commission moving forward.
The Integrity Commission, because it deals with corruption and maladministration, one needs to have experts, and those experts would be people with sizable experience. 2, those people must work hand in glove, or they must employ former prosecutors. 2, 3, the Integrity Commission in their investigation must actually, like I have said earlier on, all the other things where there's corruption, where there's maladministration, where there are serious offenses to be investigated, must be prosecutions-led. And the DPP, for you to curtail the powers of the DPP as enshrined in Section 94 of your Constitution, finding expressions in sub-regulations or subsections XYZ that you have mentioned, subsection 3 of Section 94, specifically, correct me if I'm wrong, specifically gives you how you must do things, when you must do things. When you have prosecution-led investigations, the DPP is not the only person that must decide. I feel like vomiting when an individual will decide on serious matter out of the pockets of her overcoat, out of his or her pocket of the trench coat that he's wearing. If he or she is wearing a blue trench coat, then there's royalty. If he or she is wearing a black trench coat, then there's pain and gnashing of teeth for those individuals that are involved. No, all prosecutions, all investigations must be led by prosecutors working hand in glove with investigators. When by so doing, you know that the DPP cannot say, no, yes, no, yes, I have applied my mind. No, yes, I need to apply my mind. No, when prosecutors are involved in any investigation, the DPP does not even have to recommend. The DPP rubber stamps the investigation because his or her team has been involved in the workings. I don't expect the DPP to be running around the streets leading investigations. She's got people, or he's got people that are responsible for doing what she's expected to do. She is supposed to be the figurehead. The people on the ground, the people on the ground in the various offices given expertise in field A or field B are the ones who are supposed to make sure that they carry a mandate into an investigation. I am worried to think of this situation where if the prosecutors working hand in glove with investigators were to say something that she does not agree with, she would fire those prosecutors. You don't want to think of that eventuality. You want the DPP, Jamites, you want the DPP to be able to deploy people in spaces that would make decisions that she has to take simple and easy. Jamite.
Thank you.
You're mute, Mystic. You're muted.
Oh, yes. Well said, Andy and Jamaics for that delivery. Right. Jamaics, you have any further comment?
Yes.
Go ahead. Finish your comment.
Yes. I also want to ask, what is the rush? Because Jamaica having a constitutional reform, right? Why is it that why was the to change the law in Jamaica for this lady rush through the parliament, sorry, and the opposition didn't get a chance to debate it? What is the rush? You understand?
This is the reason for the rush, Jamaica. 10% of the people of the world are the controllers. When the controllers are exposed to, remember I said 85% of the people of the world are willing to be led to the slaughterhouse, are willing to be led, and 10% of the people of the world are leading them. I'm talking about the Elon Musk, the billionaires of the world. I've got nothing against Elon Musk. I'm just making an example. The presidents, the popes of the world, the mayors of the world constitute 10% of the people of the world who are controlling. 5%, I deliberately left it out. 5% are the watchers, people like yourself. The watchers who look at the value chain and justice and fairness. Now, you're asking me the question, what is the rush? The rush is to ensure that 10% of the people of the world remain in power. If you were to find that the DPP is kicked out and you find one of you becoming the DPP, what do you think? The prime minister or those who are involved, who are accused of corruption, will do? They know that you are going to send them to jail. Do I want to be sent to jail by people like you? I'm looking at your facial expressions. I can see that you can create a lot of pain on a lot of people's faces, and they're watching you. Some of them, they know that if you were to go after them, they will never see the light of day. So they will never want to see people like yourselves sitting in those offices and ensuring that you lock them out of their comfort zones or their offices. The rush, Jamaica, is to make sure that there's no prosecution. And by the way, someone has just asked a question about the young kids who died as a result of the tuck shops, food poisonings, and that kind of stuff. The case is being investigated just for that individual who's sent the message. Ask a question. The cases are being investigated. They are now foreign nationals. The Pakistanis who are into this country, and the Chinese and the many others have been given a deadline and extension to register their shops, because basically these people operate from the garages, sell their food or their products from there. So the kids died as a result of Tabifos. Tabifos, it's an insecticide, very dangerous. So long story short, I know that this is off kilter because of the subject that we're sharing. I thought I should share it with you because when people talk about children, they also talk about the children of Jamaica who are not being benefited correctly and properly so by the 10% of people of the world who wants to control us and escape prosecution.
Okay.
So tell him again that
All right. Well said. Now we are going to bring Rattigan in the space. Now let me, before Rattigan come in the space, right? This is what we have. The Prime Minister have 28 accounts, and of course uncertified statutory declarations for 3 consecutive years, right? We have seen $470 million between the period 2020 to 2023, right, being utilized through various accounts within 3 of the Prime Minister institution: Imperium, right, Positive Media, and Estate Bridge. Now we are going to have Rattigan open the roadmap, right? And as I said, I heard Brother Andy touch his finger on money laundering. So, Brother Andy, you're going to see how Rattigan go through the space in terms of identifying that situation with the Prime Minister, 28 accounts. Ratty.
Yeah. Thank you. Listen, Andy, I was listening to you keenly, and you said something that jumped at me. And you said there's a weakness in the process. I forgot who asked you the question, but you said suggest that there's a weakness in the process. And you're absolutely correct. And we need to make a distinction here. The weakness in the process is the Constitution that we have in Jamaica. I'm somewhat familiar with the South African Constitution. I'm very familiar with the Jamaican Constitution. Huge difference. Now, Andy, you and I, we know this gentleman, a gentleman by the name of Sean Abrams, a very, very dear friend of mine. Those of you who don't know this man was the functional equivalent of the DPP in South Africa. And keep in mind, South Africa is a huge country compared to Jamaica. South Africa's population is approaching 60 million, I believe.
It's over 60 million.
It's over 60 million, right?
Yeah, you can find that information in weldometers.com or .org. Yes. Go ahead, Will.
Over 60 million, and then you're talking Jamaica under 3 million. So you can just see the enormous responsibility of this person. Now, this gentleman, Sean Abrams, as I said before, and it's no secret, I know we have people from South Africa watching right now. Sean and I were good friends. We're very, very good friends. Sean was the DPP in South Africa, a very, very powerful position. And there was a claim that he was placed there by the president, at the time, President Zuma, to protect him. Some people call him Sean the Sheep because they said he didn't prosecute the state capture cases that Andy mentioned regarding the Guptas, where private individuals came in and influenced legislatures and influenced legislation to benefit themselves. And Sean was eventually removed by the High Court. We won't go into the reasons, except to say that in their constitution, they have filters. You have, it's called the National Prosecuting Authority, and you have the director, who is Sean, and you have 4 deputies. And in addition to the 4 deputies, the director of the NPA, that person has to report to the minister. The minister has to report to the parliament. And then, of course, there are court actions. That's how their system is set up. In Jamaica, the way the system is set up, under Section 94, the DPP has unlimited power to start a case, end a case, take over a case, and there's no review. There's no review, right? Unlike the South African case, where you have 4 deputy directors who can review the matter, you have the director, and then you have the director who has to report to a minister, and then the minister has to report to parliament. So all along the way, there are checks and balances. People can see what's going on, ask questions. In our case, it's different. Now, how do we? And Sean was removed by the High Court. He was removed. How do you remove the DPP in Jamaica? Under Section 94, you remove the DPP if the DPP is infirmed, or they have very nebulous language because it's an old constitution. It says the DPP may be removed from inability to discharge the functions of his office, whether arising from infirmity of body or mind, or any other cause, or from misbehavior. Right? So if putting aside the criminal action, if you want to remove the DPP in Jamaica, you must be able to satisfy those requirements. But here is where it gets, here's the rub. Here's where it gets really, really bad, people. The only person who can remove the DPP from her position in Jamaica, absent the court, is the Governor General. And how does that happen? the Prime Minister must refer it to the Governor General, and then the Governor General will empower a panel. He will set up a panel and say, you guys look into it and then give me your recommendations. The only reason why this DPP was removed by the court was because of the constitutional provision that says you have one extension and you can serve up to 65. Now, what happened, Andy, in the DPP's case, she reached, you're supposed to resign or retire at age 60. However, you can ask for an extension and you can get an extension for up to 5 years. She reached age 60. She asked for an extension. There was cooperation, collaboration, engagement between the leader of the opposition and the Prime Minister, and they agreed we're going to give her 3 years. So she's supposed to leave at 63. As she's approaching 63, she said, I want another extension. Go ahead.
Why did she ask for an extension? What serious cases was she handling? And why is she applying for the second extension? What are the serious, what World War cases is she dealing with? What third World War cases is she dealing with?
Oh.
I'm interested in what informs the extension.
No World War cases. What she said was that there are projects going on that she wanted to that were initiated under her tenure, her leadership, and she wanted to see them through. So she applied for the extension. The Services Commission said, you're not eligible for an extension. Not only that, the Prime Minister said it would be against the law to give you an extension, and so we're rejecting your request. About 3 months later, Andy, the Parliament got together and they passed an amendment to 94, Section 94. They amended the section saying that you can now get an extension up to 65, or you can retire at 65. And so she benefited from it. So here is a conundrum. You really can't remove her because you have to go to the Prime Minister to say, listen, she's, except for that instance where it was a constitutional violation. But other than that, if we're saying she's not doing her job, she's not doing this, she's not prosecuting case, she's lousy, blah, blah, blah. With all that, we have to go to the Prime Minister and say to him, listen, you need to bring it to the attention of the Governor General. And when he does that, the Governor General will say, okay, I need to get a panel. You see what's going on. And if she's there to protect people's jobs, if that is the reason, then there's no hope for her to be removed if we're going to go that route. Because if she's there to protect jobs, she's going to protect jobs and they're going to protect her. Right? So that's where we are with the DPP.
I'm going to say we, as in the people of Jamaica, we must wait for her to get to 65 or 70 or 75 and take legal action against her and strip her of everything that she owns and make sure that the family feels the pain within the confines of the law that they have never felt before. It must be made known to her that when you leave that office, we are going to pursue you because you smell like the Nazis. Like the rest of the world is chasing the Nazis, you smell like the Nazis, and we are going to come after you, even if you can be 100, so that she can apply her mind when she deals with matters.
Well, here's what, Andy. There's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yeah.
You can't get rid of her. The court actually removed her, and she appealed. She appealed, and the government appealed, and she was victorious. And I hope that the people who brought the lawsuit, that they will appeal to the Privy Council in England, because based on the legal advice and the discussions I've had, she's going to lose in that court. But in the meantime, Andy, here's something that we can do. People of Jamaica and people abroad, I hope you're listening to me. There is a body called General Legal Counsel. It's similar to the Bar Association in America.
Yeah.
And what they do is They regulate the activities of lawyers. They discipline lawyers. Because of what she said she did, she openly admitted it, that she has worked with tainted juries before. She said, I do it all the time. In fact, what she did, she threw her assistant under the bus, Jeremy. She said, Jeremy and I, we do this all the time. He's under the bus too. So what did I do? I filed a complaint saying that she violated the canons, the canons governing the behavior of attorneys. I filed it and I've said, you have to discipline this lady. I know that there's another person in England who filed the same thing. And we're asking all Jamaicans, we're asking our brothers and sisters in South Africa to file it, because anybody can file it. Just file it. I'll send it to you, Andy. And we get the people in Santan, we get the people in Gauteng, we get the people in KZN, we get the people in the Free State, we get the people in the Eastern Cape, we get the people all over the place to file this thing. Because here's what happens. If they discipline you and say, we're going to take away your license, then there's no DPP. You can't be a DPP if you're not a lawyer. If you're suspended, you can't be a DPP. And that's the route we're looking at right now. We're looking to, so we're preparing for the long haul. We're preparing for the marathon, but at the same time, we're preparing for the sprint. The 75, and we get it in our head and our families' head that we're gonna pursue you because you smell like, yeah, fine. But in the meantime, we're saying we're going to file this thing, and I have filed already. But here's the thing. We don't know if the person who's in charge of disciplining attorneys, if the person is going to look favorably upon it. But we don't care. That's their job. Our job is to get the filing in, and their job is to make a decision. So I'm just throwing that out to people. Now let me get to the Prime Minister, because I know Mystic wants me to get to it. Now, Andy, our Prime Minister, when he was Minister of Education, he was involved in a situation where contracts were issued based on his recommendation, and he admitted it. He was referred for prosecution, and the prosecutor in the Integrity Commission's office declined the prosecution, and she declined on a number of reasons. But again, you know what happened, Andy? They did not have that joining at the hips between the prosecutor and the investigator. They were working in silos, and they continue to work in silos today, even though they work for the same organization. So what happens is that investigators are working, and the prosecutor is waiting. And then when they're finished and they make a referral, then she reads it and she says, oh, I see all kinds of problems here. I can't prosecute. And then you can appeal her decision to the DPP, but we know who the DPP is. So like you're saying, there's a weakness in the system.
Yeah. And
the weakness in the system is based on the people occupying certain positions within the system. They weaken the system. It's clogged up. It can't work because of these people. So he had this investigation, and I've read the report. And if I were the prosecutor, I'd prosecute him. No, what the investigators did was they interviewed him twice, and Andy, you and I know this. You don't talk to somebody until you have the answers. When you question them, you already know what to say, right? Yeah. You don't let them give you an answer, and then you come back again, and then and you don't give them a second chance to tidy up what they left dirty in the first interview. You leave it right there. But
that's true.
But the thing is, it's growing pains. It's a relatively new organization, started functioning in 2018, and it's not fully staffed. So that was the first one. Then this thing about the bank accounts now. Andy, as you mentioned, this man has more bank accounts than a lot of mid-sized businesses. He has a lot more, 28, and they say plus, because we don't know what he has overseas. They didn't tell us that, right? They didn't tell us that. But here is something that you'll find interesting. In addition to the 28 bank accounts, There were 4 bank accounts that the Integrity Commission said, he didn't tell us about these accounts. We found them. He didn't tell us. And the 4 bank accounts, and he was on 2 accounts with his mother. He was one with his father, and he was one with a member of his constituency. When they asked him, how did your name end up on the bank account with a member of your constituency? He said, I don't know. I don't know. Yet in Jamaica, for you to be a joint account holder, you must go to the bank, you must provide ID, you must be seen, you must sign, you must do all of these things. And our prime minister said, I don't know. I don't know how it happened. Then the accounts with his mother, their accounts with his mother, we had millions of dollars flowing in and out.
Laundering.
Right.
Laundering.
Going in and out. So he really cannot explain.
The mic.
Mike, you can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Mike.
Yeah, it's okay now.
They might try to shut me down, you know. Hey, it's probably outside the house. But here's the thing, Andy. To date, he has not explained to the Jamaican people what's he doing with 28 bank accounts. The 4 bank accounts that he was forced to explain, it is my humble belief and my experience that there is enough to prosecute him for the 4 bank accounts for failing to report them to the IC. The prosecutor, again, decided to reject the referral. And she said, no, I'm not going to prosecute him. And then she came up with some very, very flimsy reason. They're laughable. And then think about it. As a corruption prosecutor, you're being paid to bring cases. You're not being paid to assume what the defense is going to say. What she said in the case with the contract, she said, oh, you know, the defense could probably bring up abuse of process. And I'm like, that's not your business. That's their business. Let them raise it. Why are you raising their defenses? Go to court. Go to court and prove your case. You have enough to prove your case. So the 28 bank accounts. Now here is something else, Andy. There is an institution called Barita, Barita. And our prime minister went to Barita and he got I think it's $50 million. These are all Jamaican denomination, by the way. 50 million Jamaican, which is a lot of money to a regular, any Jamaican, it's a lot of money. He got $50 million. So they went and the Integrity Commission said, okay, how did you get this money? And he said, the company said, well, he put up a piece of property, he put up an insurance policy, and he put up some stocks. They went to the prime minister and said, hey, is this true? The prime minister said, yeah. I put up all of these things. Here's what the investigation found. It was determined that the property, the stocks that he said he put up for the $50 million loan, he purchased them about 10 days after he got the money. Now, Andy, you and I would love to have that kind of deal where we go to a bank and we say, give us the money. And they said, where's your collateral? And we say, we'll give it to you in 10 days time. Don't worry about it. Give me the money and I'll give you the collateral. They found out that he bought the stocks that they claimed he put up to get the loan. He bought it after he got the money, about 10 days after. The property that he said he put up as collateral, they found out that the property was transferred as collateral 6 months after he got the money. And for the insurance policy, there was no insurance policy. No insurance.
I'm sensing organized crime here. Serious organized crime. Serious organized crime with a network entrenched in government. What you are sharing with me does not border on organized crime actually resides in the transnational organized crime spaces. There's what you call GTOC, you know, GTOC, Global Initiative Against Transnational Organized Crime. Uh, and the 28 accounts plus as alleged, and some of the accounts outside of Jamaica would constitute transnational organized crime. Like I said, 28 accounts. What do you do with 28 accounts? What inspires you to have 28 accounts? And why would you use the old man and the old ladies accounts for whatever you are doing? If you are selling cars, if you are selling spinach, if you are selling beets or the collard greens, why would you put money in the old lady's account and withdraw from the old lady's account? Who's actually the card holder of the account? Is it the old lady, or is it you, the guy who's putting money, who's depositing money and withdrawing money? And what would be your purpose of holding the old lady's account? And what happens when the old lady wants to withdraw money to go buy snuff or to go buy walking stick, herself a walking stick? Are you the one who's in control of the account? Are you the one abusing the old lady's financial freedom and financial wellness, whether you provide for her or not? Is the old lady having the opportunity to do what she wants with the money? And what happens if the old lady, I'm going to make some assumptions, the old lady here is the pensioner and gets pension money from the account. When you put money into an account, big amounts of money, what is government saying with regard to pensioners' accounts having millions? Is it not disqualifying the old lady from earning a pension money? I'm not sure what happens, but in our case here, if my mom was to suddenly get 200 million or 50 million or 5 million in an account, the government is going to stop a pension money from coming in, because there's money that comes into accounts. Go ahead, Will.
Yeah. So this loan business, the Integrity Commission said, wait a minute, you know what? Let's find out about the stocks, right? And it just happened that some of the stocks that they're claiming they put up for collateral was from that lending institution, Barita. So they asked Barita, hey, tell us about the stocks from the Prime Minister. And they said, well, we can't tell you because he bought it on the open market. He didn't buy it directly from us. Go talk to the stock exchange. They said, fine, no problem. So they went to the stock exchange. Stock exchange said, we don't know the value. We can just tell you the amount of shares, but we can't tell you the value. We don't know the value. They continued, the Integrity Commission. I have to give them credit because I cussed them out when it's warranted. But I have to tell you, in this case, they were dogged. They went after it. You know what they found out, Andy? They found out that the money, some of the money that he's talking about that he spent to buy the stocks, that he got millions of dollars from his business partner who works in his office. Business partner works in his office. Guess what, Andy? They're business partners in a construction company, and his partner is in charge of two of the biggest agencies in Jamaica responsible for development.
That's organized crime.
And here's what his partner did. His partner was running around making cash cardless deposits through ATM machines to the Prime Minister.
He couldn't make...
Think about that. They work in the same space. They're business partners. But he's paying him. He doesn't give him a check. He goes around town and then he makes these deposits. And these deposits, you're not supposed to, they're cardless. So you're not supposed to find out who's making the deposits.
Well, that's organized crime. That is organized crime. For all of us and the people of Jamaica and all those who are watching this space, that's organized crime. That is a bunch of criminals. I respect the prime minister as in the office. I respect that office, but I don't respect the individual in there. And there's nothing that forces me to respect. And by the way, is my namesake. I'm Andrew and it's Andrew. And as an individual, my brother can go and jump. I respect the office that he holds, not him and many other things that are happening. And I'm not being arrogant or insulting. If a man does wrong, we should say the man is doing wrong. We respect the office. He's not the first president and he's not going to be the last president. And the people of Jamaica must wait for him to leave office and then make his life very terrible so that he can go and live next door in America. And I'm sure Trump is going to be pursuing individuals like that. I never liked Trump, but having listened to him saying he's going to go to after people like Anthony Fauci and his COVID-19 nonsense, he would be going after those individuals. In fact, someone must talk to Trump to ask FBI to do an investigation, because there's organized crime going on in Jamaica, in the sponsored allegedly by the office of the Prime Minister, given the facts that the Integrity Commission has put up. There's organized crime. There is serious organized crime with the tentacles finding root in the office of the Prime Minister and the business partners, conflicts of interest, and many other things.
Then Andy,
yeah.
Then here's the thing: is the Prime Minister's wife is also a developer, and she's getting permits from the agency within his portfolio.
That's organized crime.
You know, and but it doesn't end there. It goes on and on. Here's what they also found out. They found out that he had a foundation, charitable organization.
Yeah.
And he purchased a bond for about $94,000.
Yeah.
And he used about $60-something thousand out of his own funds. And he used $30-something thousand out of the foundation to purchase the bond. The proceeds from the bond went directly to him through his company, not to the foundation. And when the bond, I think the bond had matured or they cashed it in, the proceeds went to the Prime Minister. And he was using that proceeds for about 2 or 3 years, until the Integrity Commission said, wait a minute, there's something wrong here. You can't commingle funds and use it and then take the proceeds. And then he pushed back the $30-something thousand into the foundation. And if you weren't doing something wrong, why would you just tell him, go to hell? This is what I'm doing is legal. But he pushed it back over there, right? And then he tried to come up with all kinds of explanation. And the bank said, no. We don't operate that way. He's saying, oh, I did a verbal and I did this. And the bank said, no. Something like this, you have to sign for it. You didn't sign. There's no, we don't do verbal with purchasing a bond and cashing in a bond. And so they said, no. It gets worse. From the beginning, he started a company in St. Lucia, another Caribbean island.
Yeah.
Called ADMAT. And he used and that he had that for quite some time. I think it was started in 2008 or somewhere around there, and they terminated it in 2020, December 2020. Now here's the thing, Andy. That company in St. Lucia was buying up high-priced property in Jamaica. Guess what? To this day, nobody knows where the money came from to start that company. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
Let's throw a spanner in the works, which is what I get contracted to do. Is it possible that I'm throwing a spanner in the works? It's not you, people on the panel. It's me, the guest. Is it possible that this money came from drug lords? I'm just asking myself. Can I ask the people of Jamaica? Would it be possible that drug lords were funding these operations? The people of Jamaica, what do you think? Is Is it possible that drug money was involved in the purchase of those properties? I'm not saying that it's drug money. I'm just
Asking a
verbalizing.
question. You're just asking a question.
Yeah, it's a rhetoric question. I don't want an answer. People must find it in themselves. But I'm just asking myself. I'm having a dialogue with myself. Is it possible that this money come from drug laws? And then I'm going to leave it out there in the public.
Well, well, let me have a dialogue with myself since you're having one with yourself. Let me have a dialogue. You know, I'm just thinking that I'm trying to recall there was a huge drug find in one of the airports.
Yes.
We have 3 international airports, and the smallest one, they had a huge drug find.
Is that the Manly Airport or something like that?
Huh?
Is that the Manly Airport or something?
No,
like
no.
that?
This one is the Ian Fleming Airport in
Oh,
Boston.
Ian Fleming. Yes,
Right.
yes. The aeroplane
then,
kind of. Yes.
Right. And then we have had instances where they're finding drugs in and around the airports, several airports, but they're not catching anyone. And I seem to recall that in 2017, 2018, there was a company called Secure Report that offered the Jamaican government state-of-the-art technology to deal with these kinds of issues in and around their airports and the seaports for free. And the Jamaican government to date has not accepted that offer, even though they went to the US government and said, we need help. And the US government said, okay, fine, here's a US company, Secure Report, use them. And Secure Report said, okay, we won't charge you, Jamaica government. We will charge all the tourists coming to Jamaica. We will put on a premium on their airline ticket. They won't feel it. Put on $5 per ticket. That's how we're going to make our money. And so that ended up being just discarded. They haven't even the Minister of National Security was briefed on it, was given the documentation, and that was the end of that. No, the last thing I'm going to talk about is they just had they just concluded an investigation into the Prime Minister's association with a building not too far from where he currently lives. And here's how that investigation was started. Someone complained to the Integrity Commission. They said, Integrity Commission, the Prime Minister owns this piece of property and they are building in violation of permits, of building permits. That's one. Number 2, the Prime Minister is aware, should be aware of the fact that the building plans that they sent to the authorities is not the same building plan that they're using to build the homes. Why? The building plans sent to the authorities, the KSAMC, says that you're supposed to build 4 townhomes, 2 bedrooms per townhouse. The Integrity Commission went in October of this year, July or October, I can't remember. They went this year. And they saw what they believed to be 4 bedrooms per townhouse. 4. And they started the investigation. Now, this is where, just as how I was showering praise on the Integrity Commission, I can criticize them now, because you know what happened, Andy? When the Prime Minister got up and he said recently, I am not a shareholder in the company doing the construction or the development. I'm not a director. I'm not an owner. And when he said it, he was 100% right. He was 100% correct. When he said it a month ago or so, he was correct. But they didn't ask him, Mr. Prime Minister, when the permits were issued and when the construction started, did you have a financial interest or any kind of interest in that piece of property and the development? He would have had to say yes. You know why? Because when those things happen, he was the majority shareholder. He was the majority shareholder, and they didn't ask him. And then they switched some shares around He gave his son 1,000 shares. His business partner who works in his office developing this bill, he gave the son another share. So that the son ended up with 2,000 shares. The prime minister's sister had 2,000 shares, and the business partner had 1,000 shares. And then the prime minister retired his 5,000 shares. So the question I want to ask is, who's responsible for that 5,000 shares? We have 5,000 shares unassigned right now, and we don't know how does that work. Who's in charge of that?
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Is this man married in community of property?
If he's what?
Do we know if this man is married in community of property?
I don't know if Jamaica is a community property state. I don't know if that's a question you're asking. I don't, because you're now the wife is involved if it's community property.
Yes.
But I don't know. But she has her own set of problems, and her problems are far worse than his. Far worse than his.
The point that I'm trying to arrive at here is, if my wife, my partner in marriage, the one that I have signed in community of property or an anti-nuptial contract of marriage, if she is operating in that space and I am the overseer of government, it means my wife is benefiting, and it means I am directly benefiting, because we share that money in the house. We buy food from we drink coffee that we buy from that money. So we are directly benefiting from the finances that come out of the contracts. It is important that I indicate that there's once again organized crime here. And people might think that they can fool you every day. You cannot fool all the people all the time. No, that's what Bob Marley says in one of his songs. You can't fool all the people all the time. Some people, the watchers, the 5% of the world, can see that you're trying to play a nice game, but it's not. We don't all belong in the group, in the 85% grouping of the people of the world. No, we also are not a part of the 10%, because the 10% is creating the problems for the 85% of the people of Jamaica and the world, in South Africa, whatever you want to call it. We are part of the 5% that wants to make sure that there's justice and fairness, financially, economically, politically, socially, and many of those things. So I am trying to say very short, if the wife is involved and you are the overseer, you make decisions at government level as the prime minister, that's organized crime.
Well, you know, the question is still out there as to whether or not the wife is involved with this project. We know that she's involved with some other projects that are seriously questioned about compliance. There are some questions concerning the source of funds. But think about this. Think about this for a second, Andy. You and your wife, you're doing a project, right? You're doing a project, and the project is right down the street from where you live. It's not far. It's in the same neighborhood. And your wife is a developer. And you're going to tell me that you never once ventured over to look to see how the project is coming along, to see that they're building 4 bedrooms instead of building 2 bedrooms?
Impossible.
Impossible. I mean, how is that possible that you and your wife, you're both developers, and you're developing a piece of property, and you don't go to see that the guy who...
No, Will, you don't go there. There are plans that the wife brings home in executive case, in executive bag. And the wife would put those plans on the table to look if the specs are up to scratch, and you would be asking, what are those? And the wife would then be able to say, these are the plans. For where? Down the road. What am I seeing? Explain this to me. No, these are 4-bedroom townhouses. And you would be able, you are expected to ask this question, why 4 townhouses when the law says a certain number of the rooms in the townhouse. So there's no way in which you don't know. There's no way in
No,
which you would not know.
but
That's the reason why I ask, is this man married in community of property? Are they living in the same house, sleeping in the same bed, drinking coffee and eating breakfast or lunch or dinner in the same dining room or something like that? If that's the case, then there's no way in which you don't know. When I'm going to buy a BMW 7 Series, I take her with me and say, do you approve of this 7 Series? Is it okay? Even if she doesn't have to approve, I would find a way to convince her, look, the door itself closing, the boot is doing A, B, C, D, F, G. She would definitely know that you are buying a 7 Series. I'm just making an example.
But you know what, Andy? Here's something else. The contractor, he's culpable too. Because one of the things that I didn't see in the report is that they should have asked him. They questioned him, and obviously the guy's story is all over the place. What they should have said to him is that, Mr. Nesbitt, you are the contractor, eminently qualified, highly successful. You built all kinds of buildings. Please give us the blueprint that you use to build this place. Because guess what? He has to give them the blueprint, and any blueprint he gives them, it's a problem. If he gives them one that says 2 bedrooms per townhomes, then the question is, Mr. Nesbitt, why do you have 4? You said,
And he has the professional responsibility to advise.
yes.
Yes, to advise, to say 4 rooms and not 2 rooms, or 2 rooms and not 4 rooms. He has the moral obligation as well as the professional obligation, given the license or of operating that business.
No, here's something that you're gonna find really, really interesting. The permits to build expired last July,
Yeah.
July 2023, and apparently they've been building. They've been building since the expiration of the permit. Now, guess what? The same day that the Integrity Commission brought its report to Parliament and said, we want you to table it, is the same day that they went to the authorities to say, we want you to give us a variance. We want you to extend the permit. We want you to let you know that we're building and we're not in compliance with the code. The same day. So what that tells me now is that because they have a rule in Jamaica that says a gag order. Nobody can talk about what the Integrity Commission did or didn't do until it is tabled in Parliament. No, this thing apparently, I don't know if it was tabled or not, but they went down there early in the morning. So we have to assume that somebody told them. Somebody told them that, hey, this thing is here and it's going to be tabled. And they went down and they applied for the thing. Now, what the authorities should do is just say, listen, you know what? No 4-bedroom. And they should say, you, Mr. Nesbitt, you are hereby barred from working in the construction field. And they should fine the hell out of them. Knock down 2 of the bedrooms and say, okay, we only have 2 bedrooms, and leave it at that. But these things have been going on in Jamaica. So that is the presentation. Mystic wanted me to talk to you about the 28 bank accounts, the ADMAT, the genesis of all of this, the Westcon investigation regarding the contracts, this one regarding the permits. Our Prime Minister look, with all of these problems going on, guess what he did? He found time during COVID to go and withdraw all his money from SSL. He found time during COVID to form 3 companies. He found time in COVID to study for a PhD. During the height of the pandemic and the time when his primary and sole goal was to protect the nation. He's doing all of these things. All of these things.
Yeah, 2 things. There is a criminal mindset. There is also organized crime involved. The 28 bank accounts, the moving around, the building, the going on the morning of the parliamentary presentation shows organized crime mindset. And like I said, he's my namesake, but justice and truth shall prevail. Friendship and namesakes don't count. And the people of Jamaica are entitled to justice. And I'm angry with all of you on the panel because I have just signed my own warrant not to visit Jamaica because I will be barred at the airport. They're going to say, you are a persona non grata and I have you to blame. I wanted to go and enjoy my stay in Jamaica. I won't be going there because I'm not going to be allowed, all because of you. But look, it's a pain that I can endure. It's for justice. I have stood up against guns and tear gas and a gun stuck in my mouth and a trigger pulled twice in my mouth. The gun didn't go off. So barring me from the airport and sending me back home, it would be like going through the storm and looking at the storm and finding the storm giving me a round of applause for having it navigated it successfully. So long story short, there's crime that's been committed and we can't keep quiet about it. There's crime that has been committed and we can't celebrate it. There's crime that has been committed and we need to go after the DPP when she retires, and we need to go after the Prime Minister, my namesake, Druza. They call us Druza. The Andrews, Druza, Druza. Druza must be pursued after his term in office expires. Druza must be stripped of all assets unless if, like ISAT, he makes a beeline, he runs away from the people of Jamaica and goes and lives in some banana republic. But I know in the Caribbean office, I also see here that the electoral office is located in the office of the, whether it's a question whether the electoral office in Jamaica is located in the office of the Prime Minister. It wouldn't be located physically, but I'm going to make an assumption here, an allegation here, just an allegation. The building of the independent electoral office might not be in the office of the Prime Minister, but financially, we make things, we pay for these people, yeah, and there are many things that we have seen that makes the building to be there, but the mindset to be in the office, in a certain office. So long story short, there's crime that has been committed and we need not shy away. We need to say there's crime that's been committed. The Constitution has been violated, and many other things that are happening. And what am I suggesting? What am I suggesting? Prosecution, now or later?
I have a question for you before I yield.
Yeah.
How many agencies are in the office of President Ramaphosa?
There's only one, Will.
All right, ask me the question. Ask me the question now. How many agencies?
How many agencies in Jamaica?
In the office of the Prime Minister?
Yeah.
19.
Including intelligence, am I correct?
He's in charge of the military. The military is in there as well.
Jesus Christ. And you have your military intelligence operating from that office, and yeah, no, we have we meaning the people of Jamaica, and I'm pledging my solidarity. Yeah, we have a problem of organized crime. Yeah, I'm just going to stop short here. There's nothing that we can explain. We don't have. There's a gentleman who used to tutor me when I was a young man. One of the things that he would say is, you can't deodorize rubbish. You can't go to a dumping. You can't go to a dumping site and put 200 liters of the most expensive perfume and say it's no longer a dumping site. It smells nice. It's a nice place to can hang around because you like the smell of the perfume. Yeah, you can like the smell of the perfume, but it still remains rubbish. That's all.
Well, people, there you have it, right? And we brought two of the best minds, and not only two of the best minds, right? They have a wealth of experience, right, as it relates to security. And, you know, of course, Steve Coco is a consultant, right, retired FBI supervisor, special agent, and security consultant. And Andy Mashele, right, consultant and social political commentator, a wealth of knowledge. And it's good when we have the diversity.
Mystic,
Yes.
I also need to tell you, I still hold that title as ambassador, even though I'm retired.
All right.
Ambassador with 2 decades experience from Interpol. And long story short, it's not only a consultant, it's the former, the retired Interpol ambassador, a retired chairperson of the Gauteng Provincial Community Police Board. I am now, although I'm not speaking for this office, I'm advising the premier, the governor of the state that I'm in. I am a member of the integrity, the ethics and anti-corruption council. Honorable Councillor Andy Mashaile of the Gauteng Ethics Council. So we have a lot to hold behind us. And the fortunate part is, when we either go to hell or heaven, we're going to leave all those titles on earth here. So we might as well get on with it and give advice that is informed by principle.
Well, well said, brother Andy. I mean, here you have it, as it relates to, you know, brother Andy, part of his accolades, Interpol ambassador. And by him looking at the presentation, right, as it relates to how myself break it down, Rattigan break it down, and Jamaica speak, right, in the ear as well, and Daisy, right, look at it and said, okay, this is organized crime. This is organized crime. We are talking about the Interpol ambassador looking at it, right, without it being processed into the judiciary. And we know that is why we have the difficulty for it to get into the judiciary. But however, by just looking at it, right, he smells organized crime, right, that has tentacles straight up to the Prime Minister. It's terrible. It's despicable, to say the least. And obviously that the Prime Minister is in a conundrum, having a statutory declaration, right, unable to certify it for 2021, 2022, and 2023. Now, so enough of me said. I'm just going to have Sister Daisy speak in the space, and then, right, we just go around and, you know, do our closing remarks. All right, Sister Daisy, I know I burn you a little bit long. Please forgive me.
No, man, that's cool. Yeah, but it is just refreshing listening to Ambassador Mashali talk. You know, I could sit here all night and listen to him and
Exactly.
and dissect the issues. You know, because when you have people with the experience and the knowledge, you just become a sponge. You become a sponge and you absorb the information. You know, and you look at what is happening in Jamaica. And that's what happened in Haiti that caused the crisis in Haiti right now. And we look at other Caribbean countries, and not even Caribbean countries, other African countries that are going through something similar, where you have leaders who are so corrupt that the corruption is eating out the very soul of the country. And who suffers most? The people. So you have 1% of a country controlling the wealth and the power, and the 99% suffers as a result. And so something has to be done to do a course correction, because this is untenable and incurable. So there has to be a way for accountability to start taking shape in the Jamaican space so that politicians, anybody offering themselves up for public service, will take the words public and service seriously, knowing that they're not going there to enrich themselves. They're going in there to make the lives of the people better, not making their lives better at the expense of taxpayers. And that is what we see happening right now in Jamaica, where all these politicians are super rich beyond anybody's imagination. When Andrew Honey started out in politics, he said he could not afford to pay students. No, did he say he didn't even have 1,000 Jamaican dollars? Yet here he is with multiple accounts, and in the height of COVID, he was busy opening and closing accounts and shuffling money here and there and doing all of that. Well, and at the same time running her country. And ask the question, is he a prime minister? Is he a businessman moonlighting as a prime minister? Because he seems to be more invested in his own business enterprises than the affairs of the country. And it is sad because it's the people that are suffering because of that. And you have also, he's on the investigation for illicit enrichment, but you also have 7 other persons within his cabinet that are under investigation for illicit enrichment. And you look at the Christmas, tomorrow is Christmas. In 40 minutes is Christmas Day. You know how many thousands of Jamaicans do not have a Christmas dinner? And that is what should be concerning to everybody, you know. So it's on the one hand where I'm grateful for these spaces, the space that we can come and share our thoughts and get the Jamaican people to come to a place where they are more educated, edified, and become informed voters. They're not selling their votes for $5,000 in a box food, but they're demanding of their representatives and soon to be representatives. What are you going to do to change the trajectory of the lives of the people before they vote for them and to demand of them service?
Daisy, let me interrupt you. The government of Botswana has just been changed. I think it's 2 months or so. After 54 years of a party that has been playing games with people, there's a young gentleman who was voted in as the president. And let me tell you, they took young people to become ministers. Many of them, or should I say all of them, holding serious degrees, master's degrees and some doctorates. And I am so grateful to the people of Botswana to have kicked out the party that I grew up knowing for many, many years, and opting for people with sound knowledge, experience, expertise, hoping that they're not going to become also dumping sites that smells nice of expensive perfumes. We expect them, Daisy, once again, we expect our governments, including in Jamaica, to bring in people with expertise so that that cake, the wealth of the country, must benefit all and not an individual or a few groupings of people who become super rich out of we don't know what. Yeah, long story short, that's it. I interrupted you to say the law of impermanence says not the law of impermanence says nothing is permanent. You can do all of these shenanigans. Hence, I said, it was at the back of my mind, we must go after the DPP, and you must go after the prime minister when he leaves office, and you must strip them of the things, the ill-gotten gains. We must do that so that others who are coming must not do this. Steal money, become super rich, become billionaires, and at the end of the day, the people are hungry and walking down the streets, breaking and entering into people's houses to steal the TVs, to sell them, to eke out a living. No, Those who steal the money, that money must be retrieved from them, must be recovered from them. Whether they like me or they don't, I don't care. And I don't care about visiting where they are now. I'll visit at the time that is convenient. And they shouldn't even wave at me when they see me on their screens or on their roads. I don't wish to make friends with people whose behavior and conduct we have been describing, including the DPP. I don't care who he is or who she is, but I just know that she's not a person who can be in the same room with me. You know me, Will. If that particular person is in the room, I'll walk out of that room. End of story.
And one quick thing.
Yes.
One quick thing. I didn't hear you mention anything about. I heard you mention going after them, repatriating funds. I didn't hear anything about prison time. Talk to me about prison time.
I wouldn't mind from my pocket donating, sending a donation of orange overalls or jumpsuits, like you call them in that part of the world. I wouldn't mind buying boxes and boxes of orange jumpsuits just as a gesture of kindness for their stay in jails. They must stay in jail. And life sentence should be life sentence. It shouldn't be 25 years. You are behaving okay, and therefore we are going to give you parole. Someone killed Chris Hani here in South Africa, and he got parole. And last week he spoke on their TV in Poland, and he said a whole host of things about killing one of our leaders here and creating chaos. So 25 life should be life, should not be 25 years. End of story. These are some of the things that I don't negotiate. End of story. You can never negotiate principle. You can negotiate everything else. You can negotiate with your underwear, with your socks, whether you want to change them or not. But you cannot negotiate principle. And principle says justice is justice for all. It's equal. And equality before the law is guaranteed. It's a principle.
All right.
And and I agree with you, Don. But once again, that it's going to take a leadership, not only the leader of a party, but the team with not only principles, but some serious, with a components to really go after these people and hold them accountable even after they've left office. Because if you don't do that and send a strong message, then it is going to continue. Yeah, power to the people. It is going to continue. And if we're not careful, we'll have a second Haiti where Jamaica can become like Haiti. Remember now, it was Papa Doc and Baby Doc with all the shenanigans in Haiti that has led to the crisis that is there now. The corruption that was left unchecked, among other things. But if there's no accountability and corruption is allowed to continue as it is right now, then a year, 2, 5 years from now, it will be an unrecognizable place. And tourism that they still talk about, it is their everything. It's the word of their lips. Tourism and tourism and tourism. That will be long gone, because the country is deteriorating as we speak in terms of corruption at the highest level. Every facet of the country is affected by tourism. If you go to the JCF, every agency, it doesn't matter where you go. Corruption is a problem, because if you go to take your car for an inspection, even though that person is paid to inspect your car, to get it done, you have to grease somebody's stamp. That too is corruption. So it has to be stamped out at every level to send a message that it will no longer be tolerated. So you can get new blood, fresh blood, like what we see happening in Burkina Faso. We need that kind of thing. But we saw happening in Niger. And we need people with new ideas and people who are about the work of serving and not serving themselves, because that seems to be what is happening now. They don't see themselves as servants of the people. They don't see themselves as the employees and the people as the employers, as Jeannette Calder of JAMPJA likes to put it. They see themselves above the people, and they give themselves a 300, 200+% increase in salary, while giving the public servants 20%. And then they don't.
You
only
know,
the
Daisy,
optical thing, but everything is wrong about that.
Daisy, I after this panel discussion, I normally wear my jumpsuits and my old boots and my old hat. Um, Even though when people see me in the streets, I'm held up as a celebrity, I'm held as someone of a high standing. I wear those things to ground myself. I live in the same streets with everyone else. They had dug some trenches, putting in new pipes, because the number of people who are living in and around my mom's community has increased. Will knows, shack farming. There's a big number of shacks that came through. I still am born of the people and must understand their pain, uh, not for PR exercises. I feel comfortable when I wear my jumpsuit. When people go out there in their expensive suits and ties, I only wear these. Will knows when I go to serious events. When I used to visit him in Pretoria and we met with the people at the embassy, you are supposed to be decent. And from there, Will knows when I'm with the guys who are my bodyguards, Zulu and them, I just prefer to be ordinary. Like him, he would be wearing his jeans and t-shirt, and we would be walking in Tembisa like everyone else. So life has taught me, because of the pains of my grandmother and my grandfather who was beaten, and my grandmother kicked out of the house. Life has taught me to be humble, so that even when I lose everything else, it is not me chasing the title and the blessings. It's the blessings chasing me. So long story short, Daisy, people who think that they're above all of us don't realize that there's the law of impermanence. That law uh, um, is impartial and impersonal. It doesn't care whether you are the priest, whether you are a criminal, whether you are a church goer, whether you are a religious person or not. That principle is impartial and impersonal. Nothing is permanent. And for me, not to live a painful experience when I'm out of this suit, I must take time to be humble, take time to buy food when I can for people that I don't know, whether they are white or red, yellow, black, tall, short. If I have money in my pocket and I see the gentleman yesterday standing next to a franchise where we're going, it's competition to Nando's Will. It's called Pedro's. I bought my family a full chicken and I bought that white gentleman. I could tell that he's in pain. I went to him and said, "Do you need food?" I saw all other Africans in that store looking at me, going to that gentleman, that white gentleman, or that European gentleman who's dressed like a hobo. And you could see that the people were a little bit um surprised. Then I bought him half a chicken and some other things. I'm not supposed to talk about this because it's between me and God and doing what I'm expected to do. But I'm saying these are experiences that humble me. Other people drive past you people in Jamaica and in America in their black BMWs with dark windows and actually think that they're better than us. They are not. So let's remain humble and do what we need to do. Yes, I know Mr. Stephen Biko. I actually had at one stage joined the Black Consciousness Movement of Azania, BCMA, because it was preaching a philosophy that states we must stay together. Stephen Biko was one of those people who push the philosophy that Bob Marley, that Marcus Garvey was pushing. That said, Africans all over the world will remain Africans, whether they're in Jamaica or America or Russia. We share the same background. We come from the same area. So I'm responding to a question that says, did I know Steve Biko? Yes, I knew Steve Biko very well.
Okay.
He was killed, I think, he was killed on the 12th of September, 1977. Yeah. I'm done with my being your friend. I've been up since 3 a.m. It's now past 6 a.m. I spent some sizable 3 hours with you.
All
You're
right.
not going anywhere, man. Where you gonna go? You're up now. You're gonna go to the gym, right?
No, today it's Christmas. The gym is not open today. I'm just going to do my home workouts. I've been doing some stretches. I injured my back muscle, so I have to do a lot of stretching and relax and do some few push-ups.
All right.
Okay, your back feel better.
Yes, without any delay, I want to say on behalf of the panel, a big thanks, a big welcome to have you here, sir. Right, a wealth of knowledge that you pass on to the platform, and in extension, all Jamaicans all over, locally and in the diaspora. Right, we so much appreciated of what you have done, and we are asking you that feel comfortable, right, to get another invite, right, and revisit us, right. Of course, you're a brother, you're a friend, right, you're a father, you're everything to us, right, and most of all, of course, right, we love you in the space. So we're just gonna go around and do our closing remarks.
It's already Christmas from Andy.
Right. As I said, Sir Mashele, we don't want to stress you out, right? We want to say big thanks and thank you for coming and make it Mystic Sensation. So we are going to cut you loose on the panel just about now, sir. Right? Thank you for coming.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you very much. There's a fool called Nimrod. He was a friend of God, Nimrod and the Tower of Babel. He was born on this day, an evil man who married his own mother, who slept with his own mother, who went out into the forest and cut down the pine trees, and when he died, his mother stroke wife went to cut down the pine trees and put on silver and golden trinkets, and actually lied to people and said those trees growing up is the spirit of Nimrod. Wara wara wara. He was born on the 25th of December, and when his followers and the followers of Jesus Christ fought for leadership, Constantine, who was the emperor, actually requested Christians to celebrate the birthday of Christ on the 25th of December. We know very well that Christ was not born on the 25th of December. So I don't do Christmas because it is for an evil man. It's a negotiated settlement. It's like us in South Africa negotiating freedom through a reconciliation commission and many of those things. You now see the pain of the people of South Africa when the Bishop Tutus of the world are not here. So honestly, out of respect, I don't have respect for Christmas. I know the 3rd of September 4 BC, Jesus Christ was born. And on the 23rd of September, for you Africans, you know that's your birth, that's your new year. I'm already enjoying my first few months of 2025, having yet celebrated it on the 23rd of September. And those who enjoy their Christmas, their Merry Christmas, can do so with that rotten man called Nimrod and his wish to control God and go into heaven. I don't want to see God uninvited. I will wait for my invitation and my expiry date to kick in. I'll then go to heaven. I don't want to capture heaven. So I don't do Christmas out of respect for God. I'm not an enemy of God like Nimrod is. He wanted to see God so he can go. And those who enjoy Christmas, yeah, enjoy it. Keep us out of your space. Thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome. Now, you see your wifey, maybe I get burned with the tree where wifey put up. Come here, take a pressure, you know. Wifey put up a tree. All right, so, you know,
You see how quick him show me underneath the moving
What
train,
when
not
you-
even a moving bus.
But we
a
don't do
moving
Christmas.
Train.
we don't do Christmas.
Oh, no, I come put a box in front of everybody. You walk, come put a box.
Yeah, for most of it. All right, so we want to say a big thanks, right? Now, you know, as it relates to, right, Mr. Mashele, really and truly a wealth of knowledge there, right? So, you know, we are closing out now. So, let us hear from Jamaica as it relates to Jamaica closing statement, and then let us take it around. Jamaica,
Blessing.
what a word we get, man.
Oh, God. It was just an explosion. But what a man full of knowledge, man. What
Yeah.
a man. Just easy on the eye and the ear, man. Oh, God.
But he's right. He's right. As it relates to the Christmas thing, yeah.
You can hear what already.
Aaron, leave it alone.
All right. No,
Leave it alone.
I can't push it too hard, you know, because I don't want to sleep outside with Bruno tonight.
And Bruno, you're the Irishman. What to do?
You might have to book a ticket to South Africa.
Jamaica and Latvia and Daisy, me stay in the middle. Dead center.
You're smart, man. You're a very smart man.
What's coming up in your Christmas?
Hey, freedom. You know, you gotta call me out to freedom, man.
Hey, man, wrap you up like a gift, man. Wrap you up, man. But
right.
To say that he was a breath of fresh air.
Yes.
He was very, very important to us in terms of knowledge. As the Persian poet Rumi said, sell your cleverness and buy bewilderment. And
all right. Right.
As I was saying, the Persian poet said, sell your cleverness.
All right. So
Yeah, go ahead.
It's just
Okay.
an argument.
Yes. So
Jamaica's finish.
So Jamaica, finish your closing argument because we're going around it and close out.
All right, no problem. We're saying thank you to you, Mr. Mashele. It's a great presentation. We have learned a lot. And as the Persian Rumi said, sell your cleverness and buy bewilderment. And today we were able to be filled with knowledge, and you gave us a lot of information when it comes on to what we should do as best practices moving forward. It is a teachable moment for Jamaica, and I hope that we learn the lessons that you have given on to us. And most definitely, the way how you communicate is very, very important. And I know that it has resonated with a lot of us. And when we look at the government that we have in Jamaica, they look like they need to go back to kindergarten, because there are some basic principles that are missing. Don't lie, don't steal, treat people good. So we want to bring them back to kindergarten, because they're not performing well. And people to understand that corruption kills. Yeah, it kills hopes and dreams. It robs from the school. It robs from the hospital. And it robs from just our future moving forward. And it is so important what the diaspora is doing in terms of passing on knowledge and also holding us accountable. We need this type of professionalism to be injected in Jamaica. Yeah, the Jamaican people don't believe or understand or even know how to appreciate professionalism and how things supposed to be run. Yeah, and it is a problem. It is a real problem that we're facing, and only when we are able to fix the problem, we're able to move forward. Thank you again for everybody on the panel. Again, it was a great pleasure for me to come here to learn and also to contribute. So thank you, Mystic Sensation. Mr. Byron, you get wrapped up like a gift. But anyways, Mr. Will, thank you as well for the knowledge. Miss Daisy, thank you. Mr. Mashaeli, do remember to hail the man for me. Blessings to you.
Yeah, yes, but even although Mr. Mashele is speaking out as it relates to Christmas, what he said is fact, but it is true. Not two way about that. It's facts. Right? So we are not going to go against facts. But I promise Mr. Mashele that when he comes back, he's either going to see me into this or see the Christmas tree behind me. So all right. So Sister Daisy, all right, your closing statement, because we want to use the space and we want Ambassador Mashele to provide a closing for us, right, in terms of guiding us through in his closing. Sister Maria, go ahead.
Yes, the pleasure is mine to have shared this space with Ambassador Mashele, and we're better for it. And we have to celebrate people like you among us, because too often we, if you look around us, we celebrate the run, we gravitate towards the noise, and we have these people in our space with so much knowledge and to encourage and empower us as younger persons, and for us to, he's created a space that is healthier, that is more wholesome for us who are looking on. And it is for us now to do the same and make sure the space that we occupy is as wholesome and as healthy and informative as he has made it for us. So I'm glad to have shared the space with him. And I look forward to doing it again. And, Jamaica, Ratigan, Mystic Sensation, it's always a pleasure being here. And to the people in the chat, our extended family, I say God bless and much love.
Thank you, Sister Maria. Brother Ratigan.
Yes,
right?
yes. Let me just say that again. Many thanks to Anne-Marie and Byron for having me on, and also for putting together this wonderful panel. Jamaica's the voice of young Jamaica, Daisy, the voice of not just women, but the voice of intelligent people. She speaks not just for a particular group, women. She speaks for everybody. And of course, Andy, you guys are seeing what I was privileged to see in South Africa. I'm privileged to experience. He's a wealth of knowledge. The guy is just unbelievable. And like I've said to you privately, that many of the things I achieved in South Africa, I could not achieve them without Andy's assistance. And I can't think of a single time that he said no to me. Just can't think of a single time. He was always there. Believe me, there were times when things just seemed difficult and I'd just call him up, Andy, hey, can you help me with this? And he said, no problem. Then he'd come over and he'd walk me through some things, and he would get me to where I needed to go. So he's a straight shooter. You hear him talk to you about your Christmas tree in the back there.
Yes.
And he's a straight shooter, and he doesn't pull punches, man. So
well, the truth be told, as it relates to what Andy said, right? That is the true history. We can't go around that. We can't deny that, because what we said is true.
That's history. So I think what happened now is that like I was saying, the main topic was the DPP and how do we address the DPP. And people, if you would, it's going to go up on the website. We've discussed it already, the filing with the GLC, because that's one way of applying pressure. Because if the GLC, if they say, look, this idea of of moving forward with tainted juries, they may even have to investigate that, because we don't know how many innocent people are behind bars as a result of this. We don't know. But if they decide that, no, this is unbecoming of an attorney and we need to suspend her license, then she can't be DPP. You can't be DPP under a suspended license. So that's one way we're going to go after her. The other thing is that I sincerely believe that the two plaintiffs, Mr. Philip Palwell and Mr. Peter Bunting, that they need to appeal this decision. I fully expect that they will, because I don't think that they started out down this road thinking that, okay, we're just going to file an action, and if the court rules against us, then we're just going to leave it there. If I were in their position, because these are some serious issues. These are some very, very serious issues that will affect generations to come. So they must have in their calculus thought about moving forward in the event of an adverse decision. So I fully expect that their case will be heard by the Privy Council, and I fully expect that the Court of Appeals decision will be overturned, and for good reason. So look, again, like Maria Chang said, excellent to all, learn a lot, God bless. I learn a lot too. Every time I come on this program, I learn, because like I tell people all the time, no, I don't like this program. I really don't like this program. I love this program, because I know when I come, Mystic is going to provide something that is a benefit to me, something I didn't know. I'm going, and you just sit back and you relax, you take it in, you digest it, you absorb it. And then I teach some of them stuff to him, tell him, but him tell me say it's okay, because sometimes it takes the man, him work hard. Him work very hard, man. I tell you, him and him wife. Because I tell you what, I come on early sometimes, And when I come on early, guess what me say? Is that Marie me say, I put things together and things like that, what I say? So she is a dynamic duo for true. Them really work hard. And it's always a pleasure coming here, because I know they're going to produce something that's of benefit to us intellectually, spiritually, socially, politically, and otherwise. It's for us now to take that information and do something with it.
Yes.
And that's what I'm trying to do. Trying to do something with the benefit of this program. And I just hope that you'll follow in my footsteps, or you'll follow your own tracks. But the genesis of all of this, Mystic Sensation. So with that, I just want to say to you, happy holiday season. I don't want to say.
All right.
I'll leave it at that. Happy holiday season.
All right. Listen, so again, we don't answer that. All right. So as it relates to, remember, Ratigan program, right? Continue to support. Win Lonesome program, continue to support, right? And all those persons in the space, right? Andre Stevenson, the Talk Your Mind, the Anessa Bell Rose, and all those persons.
Jeffrey Tavares, we can't forget Jeffrey Tavares. Boom, 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 boom.
Boom, boom, yeah, right? All those persons who are out there speaking out, right? Aromatic, everybody.
Byron, let me just interrupt you for a brief moment. Let me just say that as a reminder, Come Reason with Ratigan will not be broadcasted tomorrow and the following Wednesday. Yes, because of not tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. Christmas Day and New Year's Day. Yeah, it won't be the following week. So 3 weeks from now, you can tune in and you'll catch us. But this week, Saturday, we're having Reason with Ratigan, and then on Sunday there's a special program where we're gonna do the week in review, the year review, and it's gonna be Mystic Sensation, Reason with Ratigan, and Make We Talk, and we're gonna have a whole bunch of guests on, including our lovely brother and sister here, Daisy and Jamai. And then also, let me just put this out there, that tentatively on January 4th, Saturday, January 4th, after Reason with Rattigan, we're going to have a musical extravaganza. When I call it Clash, we'll call it musical extravaganza. Why I love this? We're going to have a musical extravaganza, and it will be DJ Kevin Stu, yours truly, the Rebel, and believe it or not, a man who calls himself the #1 legal DJ in Jamaica, none other than Mr. Hugh Wildman. Him say my DJ, and him say Stone Love, and everybody tell him say him bad like Yaz. And say him a come for destroy me and Kevin and take no prisoners. He said that.
Rattigan, hold on a minute. Rattigan, can you be very selective in your words?
What?
You don't want to clash. I
There's
don't
no
want you to say. He's Mr. Hugh Wildman. He's a very brilliant lawyer. He's coming to play music with Rattigan and Kevin Stew, and we're going to be in this space to enjoy their musical presentation.
The reason why I said clash is because Hugh Wildman a come for clash. Him say I come for clash. Him say I come for destroy me and Kevin. And we say no, we are playing music. We just play music. Him say no, me a come for clash, you know, and me a come destroy the two of you know. Mr. Tim said, Bridget, we don't how we reach
No
this.
more
So
clash.
Mr. Tim said,
You might have to hire ISAT as an
ask him,
attorney.
believe me, I ask him, I said, Mr. Wyman, how we reach this? So him say, no, man, me know about you know. Me a come and me a come for clash with you know, and me a go destroy the two of you know, and me not take prisoner when me play music. And him start say, when me play this, you go run where, and when me play that, Kevin I go run where, and him do. So he art. You know him though? You know him though? Him send me videos of him playing a Stadium East 2 weeks ago. And him say the people them come up to him and the people them almost I worship him. They must say, it's a why never know so you're bad. You're bad like him says Stone Love people them come up to him and say nobody around us are bad like you. So him dub himself, you know, him say I am the #1 legal DJ in Jamaica. So people, it's January 4th, and it's going to start at 8 o'clock until you say when. But we not come for clash, you know. I know, sister, like that word, the clash. We not coming to clash. We coming to just play music and for the people and make the people feel nice. But Mr. Wildman, him say, him a come for clash. So, and we try to talk him out there and say, we just play music. We say, we just go juggle. Him say, who no can't juggle? A clash me a come for clash.
All right.
I must say, in the morning at 8 o'clock, I normally do presentation on TikTok. So I keep the young minds entertained and most importantly informed. And we have to change from there. So I do that work. So blessings to and happy holidays.
Blessings.
Very inspiring.
Yes, and once again, my Jamaican brothers and sisters, right? Of course, we had learned a lot tonight from Steve and from Ambassador Andy, right? So we really appreciate the space tonight, and we enjoyed it. Right, quite informative, right, and so educational, right? So we want to say, right, thank you very much, right, to pass through Mystic Sensation. All right, I'm very careful in terms of saying going into the season greetings, right, because we don't want to get burned out again, you know. All right, so I'm very careful. I'm very careful.
Oh, by the way, no, but OT, Sunday, the year in review was Sunday at 8 o'clock, right, Mystic? Is it 8 o'clock?
Yes,
8 o'clock. And by the way, one last thing, I keep saying one last thing, but Anne-Marie is right. We did see Mystic run and grab a box and put on at the tree. We did see.
Late delivery. So I went and got it from the front door and put it behind the tree.
Right. I mean, totally tie on the crime. Tie on the crime scene. I mean, guilty.
He's like, it's at the front door.
All right. try to, you know,
All
make a
right.
run, but I mean, get old. DNA found on the crime scene, so that's it.
OT asking 8 p.m. or 8 a.m. Two things was mentioned. You referring
No,
to
it's 8 p.m.
Jamites or
8 p.m.
8
8
p.m.
p.m. Yeah.
Yes.
And Jamites is 8 a.m.
All right. I want to say thank you, Jamites. Thank you, Brother Ratty, and thank you, Sister Daisy. Always appreciate it. Right. Take care. God
Season's
bless.
greetings, everybody. Season's greetings.
Seasons
Ratty,
greetings.
it's a woman in line, Ratty.
1 minute at a time, people. 1 minute.
All right.
And not mega say Merry Christmas.
Okay.
Good night, everybody.
All right. Wonderful program. Love it.